Oops, sorry.
Yep.
Thank you for joining us for the Planning Board, Town of Poughkeepsie Planning Board meeting for May 21st, 2026. Please join me in pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First up, we have Hudson Valley Credit Union, Arlington Branch, 842 and 836 through 840 Main Street. Seeker review, site plan review, and architectural review.
Now it's on.
This one is okay, great.
Yep.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Roger Keating from LaBella Associates. With me tonight, I have members of representatives from the Hudson Valley Credit Union as well as Maury Architects. Here tonight to do just a project update, go over some of the site plan changes. Maury Architects is here to give an update on the building, and I also have our traffic engineer here this evening that can help, go over some of the traffic items that have come up as we were going through our review. Is this one working too?
Just have
Yeah,
to
it is.
turn.
Okay, because
Yeah, you just
I'd like to
gotta turn it
be
on.
able to go to the plan if I could.
Yeah. Turn it on, it takes
Check,
like a
check,
second.
check, check.
There you go.
There you go.
Yes, okay, great, thank you. Okay, so since we were here last, we've got a lot of great comments from the board last time out. We've done some workshops here with planning, and we've since made a significant amount of changes to the site plan as it relates to traffic and on-site circulation. I'll start off quickly by looking at the ITM site. So if you recall, the branch is going to be located where the existing restaurant is today, and across the street from there is a small parking lot that was a support parking lot to the restaurant. That is where the ITM site is. Now, before, the ITM site was going to have an entrance access point from the Popeyes driveway. People would use the ITMs, and then they would exit out onto Fairmont. And many of the board members had talked about that being kind of a tough situation to exit out onto Fairmont. There was suggestions and recommendations that we look at reversing that flow so that you enter in from Fairmont and then exit out to Popeyes. So that's exactly what we did. We went and we looked at that scenario. I think actually the plan and flow works much better now that we've got this scenario put into the drawings. And essentially now we'd have an entrance in from Fairmont. We took the ITMs, we turned them 90 degrees, so they're kind of running parallel to Fairmont. Gives us ample stacking. Also pushes everything away from the intersection, so we get more green space at the intersection as well as part of that plan. And then we would then, instead of entering, we would exit out onto the Popeyes shared access point. And then when we were looking at the main branch side, we took a look at the access point onto Fairmont. We took that access point, we pushed it further away from the intersection. So out there today, it's essentially located right at the intersection. We moved that more towards the center of the site and then reconfigured the project site such that we could get good circulation around the site. There was some concerns, about making sure we could get the garbage truck and everything to turn through there. We had the EV parking in the back. We've moved that now since closer and adjacent to the building. And as part of that plan, we feel like we've got, good circulation for people to come in and out onto Fairmont. Now, just before this meeting, we did get some feedback from DOT. They are suggesting and recommending that we do not have any access point here onto 44. So when we bring this plan back next time, we will have this access point here closed. So we'll have a primary access point then just onto Fairmount. We would not have the access point to the 44 side. That is kind of like the large overview of where the changes are and where we've been with the plans. Frank, would you mind stepping up here real quick before we turn it over to Mari, just to kind of go over some of the traffic items as it pertains to that, and then I will let Brandon from Mari Architects just give an update on the building.
Sure. Good evening, everyone. Frank Felicciotto with Labella Associates, licensed professional engineer, over 20 years of experience in traffic engineering, transportation planning, site design, the whole bit. And I've been working on this project alongside Roger. First time I'm before you this evening, but what Roger said is accurate. We have feedback that came from DOT today. We will not be able to propose a driveway on Route 44. So that's, initially it was a left in and a left out. Then it became just a left out, and now it will not be any driveway. Their main reasoning behind that is that they're viewing the leftmost lane as a ramp, and according to their policy, they do not permit driveways on ramps. The loss of that driveway can be recuperated by a right out onto Fairmount and then a subsequent right onto Main Street. So from a traffic volume perspective, we're not putting the people that would be using that driveway with no place to go. They can make the right and then a right. It's a little bit less convenient, but it's possible and practical. We've reviewed JMC's recent memorandum. It had a few comments that I believe were going to be very easily addressed. One of the comments that I think is going to take a little bit more work on our end is the comment about the left turns out onto Fairmount. Unlike the driveway or the proposed driveway on 44 that the DOT will not permit, not having left out onto Fairmount leaves people who are trying to get back into Arlington towards Vassar with no other option except to make a circuitous movement, either a right turn followed by a left turn onto Main Street and then some sort of double backing to get down to Fairmount. The left out onto Fairmount is really the most direct and simplest way to achieve that movement. Without that turn, it's not possible to directly get there. We've improved the driveway location from where it is now. It's an existing condition, as you know. We've looked at site distance. There's adequate stopping site distance for that movement. We're talking about approximately 7 to 8 left turn movements in the worst case peak hour. So it's not a significant amount of traffic because it's just the traffic that's heading back southbound on Fairmount. But it is an important movement to capture that neighborhood activity that needs to get back in that direction. So we're prepared to provide a formal response back to JMC with further justification for that movement, in the coming days. But our position is, we're able to lose that driveway on 44. We have a plan for that with the redundancy that a right and another right provides. But unfortunately, having to give up lefts out onto Fairmount leaves this site with very, very little access. And already, it's a difficult site from an access standpoint. So that's something that we believe we can work through, and we'll be providing that documentation in the coming days. Anything else in particular, Roger, that you had on your mind?
No, I think that's great.
Okay.
And we can let Brandon
Sure.
just do a quick update on the building, and then we can open it back up to the board for
Sure.
Feedback. So
Yep,
thank
go
you.
Thank you.
I think Brandon's going to use actually some technology, whereas I'm still a little old school, so I'll turn it over to you, though.
Here you go. Actually, you know what? I'm going to use this. You mind if I use this? So I can operate the mouse. Good evening. Brandon Petrello with Maury Architects. I'm just going to share my screen.
Okay.
Okay. Is that up for everybody? Appears like it is.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm just gonna I'm sure everybody's familiar with this, but I'm just gonna cite everybody just quickly. Coming from underneath the overpass, heading west towards the site, you can see the old Uno's to the side, and you can see us coming up the road. Some of the buildings that are nearby, we have the shopping plaza to the north here, and then we have the diner just to the northwest of us as well. So just kind of give you an idea of what's surrounding our site here. On this next slide here, what you're seeing is you're basically standing on Main Street. The overpass that we just talked about is to your left. So to your left, we're calling this the two-story facade of the building. So this is the two-story section of the building. This lot is unique in the fact that there really doesn't have a rear. Everywhere is a front of this building. So as you'll see through these elevations, you'll see that we paid special attention to that. The concept behind this design is an homage to the old credit unions by using some of their materials, some of their spaces, and then bringing them to the modernization, bringing them forward. This is going to be sort of a flagship for the credit union. So we're stepping forward with this design. A lot of the materials here are stone, fiber cement. There is some metal panel accents, but then we also still have the standing seam metal roof that is classic to credit unions. We've moved away from the green, again, to sort of modernize, kind of give ourselves a little bit more of a regal standpoint instead of having the hunter green out there. You know, I think this makes the whole building look a little bit richer. It's got natural tones, clean forms. So the design here is the first story is essentially the stone facade. It's got some large window openings into the retail banking spaces. Let's see the activity. Let's see what's going on. Let's welcome the neighborhood. As you continue up towards the top of the building, what we have is that we have a green accent. That accent is actually kind of interesting. What we're anticipating there is an internal illumination of an acrylic panel. And that's going to give us some decorative building lighting, but it's also going to create our canopy at our entrances. And that banding is subtle. It'll be subtle, but it'll also be clean. The second story is actually fiber cement, which we use EFIS and fiber cement on current credit unions, but we're moving that forward a little bit by using fiber cement panels. So same materials, but just a little bit more modern. And then as we continue to go around the project and we hit the corner here, this corner is cut back a little bit, and again, that green element forms the canopy. And we turn the corner at Fairmont, which would be our next slide. And you turn the corner at Fairmont, the materiality continues through. And so now we have sort of an emphasis on the corner of Fairmont and Main. As we continue downward towards Haight Avenue, we're actually transitioning from a two-story building down to sort of a one-story building with an accent at the very end. Now there's some accent metal panels at that location, and that's the corner of the arterial Haight and Fairmont. And now we're accentuating that corner by popping up the roof just a tiny bit. But then we're still maintaining the large glass spans so that we have those views into the retail banking spaces. Moving on, as we turn that corner, this elevation is a little misleading because you're seeing a lot of the two-story in the background. It seems a lot more present, but really what you're going to get is a little bit more of that one-story at that corner. And it's all set back a little bit. And that's all purposeful for this one story. It's because as you move further down Fairmont towards Haight, it becomes a little bit more residential. So we're bringing the scale of the building down as we progress towards that side of the site. Materiality continues, but a lot of this two-story you're seeing is far back. I mean, that's out by Main Street. Finally, what you're looking is kind of in the parking area, or if you were coming from the overpass looking straight back, what would be the most prominent feature here would be the two-story tower. We have a clear story space in that as well. There's a multi-purpose room in that space, so that we're using that high ceiling and that volume purposely. But you're also seeing the entrance there, again, the green accent canopy kind of tucked inside the inside corner, and that's to the rear. And then finally, I just want to kind of go back. I know this is the entrance to the town center. You know, we're starting to get into the town, coming down, 44 under the overpass, and we have this is our existing view. And the buildings aren't up against the streetscape like they are as you further get into the town center. They're set back a little bit. They're two-story. What this building's going to do is it's going to emphasize the entrance to Poughkeepsie with that tower. That tower is going to be up against the road front. The credit union was kind of born in Poughkeepsie as part of IBM, and I think it's sort of fitting that it can help define coming into Poughkeepsie proper with this building. And I think the features of the building are moving the architecture and the business itself forward with the ITMs, but at the same time, it's, again, calling homage to all the materials you guys are familiar with every credit union in Poughkeepsie.
Thank you. Kristen?
Great, thank you. It is on for a public hearing this evening. It's the first public hearing. Seeker review, site plan review, and architectural review. I will note, just for the project record, again, it's been a few months, so the project is on. Proposed action is on for an unlisted action subject to a coordinated review. The planning board declared their intent to serve as lead agency in December, and to date, no objections have been received. Regarding the EAF, I know there's been continued coordination with several departments, state and county agencies. And this, just as a reminder to the board, of course, is being reviewed in conjunction with the Popeyes application immediately to the directionally challenged here west. And so we will get into that application review as well after this one regarding egress from the ITM parcel. So staff took a look at the application as was submitted, still concerns about turning movements. I know there's been ongoing conversation with DOT. I would just say, since there seems to be some conversation happening with DOT, to try and bridge the gap and just allow staff to also participate in any of those conversations and have our consultant be part of them as well. There have been other instances in other applications where having the town staff, planning staff, and our traffic engineer at the table, we can have a more streamlined, I will just say, approach to reviewing the projects with DOT. So happy to connect or facilitate, so please feel free to invite us to the table as needed. And I think it would be really beneficial. We do have Kevin on from JMC tonight. Mark could not make the meeting, but Kevin's been brought up to speed. No pun intended. And so staff this evening is recommending that the board, probably provide some preliminary feedback on the architecture. If you have any concerns about the changes to the traffic flow through the ITM parcel, any concerns related to parking counts, again, architecture, and the DOT item is a significant one, and circulation is we know we're paying, we're paying very close attention to that. I know you are as well. And then just for the project record, I did want to note, because this came in subsequent to your first appearance before this board, the DC Planning, Dutchess County Planning Office did issue their review, and it is a conditional review. So there are comments related to circulation. So of course they didn't see, this was submitted before you just made this submission. And again, it came in unfortunately after your last appearance, but concerns about circulation, concerns about the amount of parking that's proposed, concerns about lighting. I think we're starting to hit on some of that, and I know some of it has already been adjusted, so I think we're going to continue to work through that. And the only reason why I bring it up is because of the conditional approval or conditional memo that they provided. There is a voting requirement for the board that the planning board would have to vote by a majority plus one if they moved ahead in not in conjunction with the items raised in their memo.
And the condition is specific to reduction in the
No
proposed parking, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Engineering?
Yes, so the applicant has done a great job of addressing many of our comments. There's not a lot left from our perspective in terms of utility grading, stormwater. We have some minor comments on SWIP that can be pretty easily addressed. Probably the biggest comment we have remaining is with respect to the lighting levels. We understand that there's obviously higher lighting levels required for the bank, but they do not comply with the town code requirements, so you may need to talk to zoning about that. So.
Okay. So you said Kevin's on?
Yep.
From JMC? Hi.
Hi, good evening. Yeah, so we provided a review to the applicant, and some of the comments that we had, one of them being that they provided an analysis supporting documentation about the amount traffic using the ITM parcel. The traffic report that they had goes into 50% utilization of the ITM and then 50% associated with the main bank parcel. And this is because they're on two separate parcels with separate driveways. So we were looking for some additional information with that. The information they provided seems to show that it's towards a 20% utilization of the ITM. So we were asking for them to clarify further or potentially adjust the distribution that's provided for their traffic analysis. And then with the site plans, I guess to kind of come off of the presentation that they had, we did have some comments related to the 44 driveway coming out, but I guess we'll to review that driveway being removed from the site plan. And then we did provide some comments for the left turn coming out of the main site driveway onto Fairmount. And we'll look to see where that conversation goes, working with Labella on the site distance, because we provided some comments there, and we'll see how they are able to address them and look to further coordinate that access. So I
Okay,
think that those were, then the last kind of comment that we had there was the 10 spaces that they show in the center to look at and see if there's a way that those spaces can be accessed from one side or the other, compared to right now they're accessed from both sides without any kind of curb stop or a median.
okay, thank you. Let's
Yeah,
go.
Thank you.
If I might
Sure,
also,
go ahead.
so I had a conversation with Arlington Fire Department before we knew about obviously they just found out today about the driveway, not being permitted, that egress drive.
Right.
So two things. One, the fire department typically in a one-way circulation, would require a 20-foot wide, even though it's only one way, for their apparatus to be able to make the movement. They were comfortable with it being as low as 16 feet wide. If they could adjust the exit in a way that their apparatus could actually fit, based on the circulation plans, there were some encroachments, so, they had said that. Of course, I'm talking about something that you're saying is no longer gonna be on the plan. The follow-up to that is that I had actually mentioned to them, well, what if this ends up being just an emergency egress only, and there's a way to block that off, and it's only utilized in an emergency setting? And that, is driven also by the fact that they were comfortable with not having you demonstrate the apparatus full movement through the property. So they were gonna have you come in off Fairmont and then exit out on 44. So, I'm not sure where that leaves us. We'll have to show the loop.
We'll
Yeah.
show them doing the loop now.
Yeah, yep.
We had talked to the fire department. About that, and that would be his trip home from this site. If he did come onto this, if we had the DOT access, he wouldn't be going back out the other way. So it was the logical loop for him to come in, come across the site. He'd set up in the drive if he had to, and then he would leave out that way.
Yes.
We're going to just now need to show the movement turning back around. We'll add that to the
Yeah.
next plan.
I would just hate for you to get a little too far along, without having, like, again, our traffic engineer and also DOT and the fire department at the table. So again, I'm more than happy to help to facilitate bringing a couple of those folks in. I think it might help to streamline the conversation, because I don't want you guys to have to keep coming back here if, unnecessarily, so.
Understood. I think this is good feedback, though, and definitely a good update for the board here, just because there's a lot of moving parts here, and I think
Absolutely.
through workshops, I think we've been able to, and to Andy's point, like, really get this down to just a few topics. There's some minor things that are in there. Kristen, the one thing I would mention, just maybe we can get clarification back to county planning about the vote component of it. When we originally did the initial application, the parking count was based upon our footprint, but it didn't account for the second floor, which is why they were seeing a double of the parking count summary. So, and traffic consultant concurred in that when we actually put the second floor into the traffic or into the parking count, we're very close. I think we're at 40 parking spaces and it's 35 per zoning. And so, I'm wondering if we can get
Yeah,
clarification
absolutely.
on that particular item, if that's something you can assist with, just because I know that's a sticking point, from a vote perspective, just from a point of clarity.
Absolutely, yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt.
It's okay. Let's go around the room.
Yeah, rooftop units, HVAC, will they be hidden?
Is
They'll be
do we
shown.
have public-
Yeah, we will screen the rooftop units. We haven't completed that design yet, but they will be screened.
They won't be seen from the ground. And I read somewhere about a ground-mounted generator. Is that gonna be covered in any way, or?
Well, we probably either through landscaping or some sort of natural barrier, I would think. We even not sure if we discussed the monument sign as well.
We haven't done the monument sign like design yet,
Okay.
but we're thinking it's gonna be up in that
same
general
area.
area. And so as part of that, we'll obviously gonna have their sign, company put together that and what it looks like, and we'll get that to the board for review. But as it relates to, generator screening, we'll certainly, most likely gonna be landscape screening. We'll have to set that back from it a little bit because we do have clear zones around it, but we haven't sized that generator just yet. We're, once we nail down that size of it, but, obviously there's a lot of moving pieces here and not getting into the heavy, mechanicals just yet.
But the plan, regardless of size, is to have some sort of landscaping or something around it?
Yeah,
Okay.
we would look to screen it.
All right. That's all I have, thank you.
At this time, I move that the planning board open for public hearing.
Second.
Moved in second, called the question, all in favor?
Aye.
7-0. Does anyone have any comment this evening on this?
If you guys wouldn't mind in case, well, let's see, is anyone in the room, first of all, have any comments on this? Because mostly it looks like applicants, but I just, no? All right, then let's try on Zoom. Is there anyone on Zoom who has any comments on this application? You are on Zoom, you can just unmute yourself, raise your hand. Does not look like anyone's attempting to speak, so I think
Okay.
we're okay.
When did you want to come back, June or July?
I would say July.
Yeah, I don't know if we'll have all these materials ready by
You're ready for Tuesday, right?
Tuesday,
I
right?
think July is a fair
Okay.
bet.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think, unfortunately, we're gonna need to see you folks again then, at that
Okay.
point.
I move the planning board adjourn the public hearing to July 16th, 2026.
Second.
Second, all in question, all in favor?
Aye.
7-0. Okay. Peter,
As your own traffic consultant stated, that this is a difficult site from an access point. I'm struggling here a little bit with intuition versus understanding. Intuitively, I would say this is not a great site for this use because of the traffic. So in order to get to understanding, you have to accumulate knowledge from people that are more knowledgeable than I am, particularly our traffic consultant. So in that effort, I made a request to our traffic consultant to provide a trip generation analysis. There's been a restaurant there for 80 years. That trip analysis versus a bank with the ITMs. The result of that trip generation analysis that we received demonstrates an additional 82 trips during the peak hour of 4 to 6 for the bank use versus the restaurant use. Now, as part of my journey for understanding what you're doing here, we received a great report from Officer Jazorski from the town police department. He didn't raise any red flags from his point of view, which kind of flies in the face of, if you ever sat in traffic there on Fairmont between Maine and, but, if it's possible to come up with a plan, your traffic consultant, our traffic consultant come up with a plan, I'm happy to look at it. And if our consultant is satisfied, I think I and everybody else on the board will be satisfied as well. I think you're gonna have to come up with a basis for your 20% dedication to the ITM site. It just doesn't seem, your first presentation here, you touted how busy they were going to be. 20% of the activity, therefore, to me, seems a little bit on the light side. So I'm gonna ask you, through our traffic consultant, provide him with the basis of that 80-20 dedication, because it's important. Finally, we have a policy which I mentioned to you in your first presentation, and that is we have a no flat roof policy. So you're going to have to come up with a better idea than your representation that we've received here. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. Rocco?
Yeah. First of all, a question for the architect. I think that you mentioned that you had brought into the design aspects of other credit union or the original credit union. Can you point that out? Because from what I see, all the credit units branches which I've seen or observed, Hyde Park, Highland, or whatever it's called, Poughkeepsie on IBM and Route 9, etc., and even Tucker, no two look the same, so I'm not sure what you meant by that.
Yeah, so the forms of the buildings are different. I do agree with you. I think Route 9 is obviously it's definitely a one-off. I mean, that was a historic site, it was a historic building. I mean, we reclaim materials in that building. So that one does not have similar materiality, but they all do. They all use the same color ephes. They all use a green metal roof. They all use a stone base. Those are all elements that we've incorporated in this building. And actually, just excuse me 1 second. Mentioned that we do have like a material board, so you can see these are standard colors that that are very common in the yeah, you can go
Pass them.
Thank you. Those are all very standard colors. The only change, again, to really the material of the building is an inclusion of a new metal panel, which you'll see there. But again, it's not an aggressive metal panel. It actually matches the same tone as the stone, which is the intent. It's just to give it a different fabric and just bring it into 2026 and forward.
Okay. I tend to favor the design on Route 9, which does not have a flat roof, by the way. That seems to really stand out there and fit into the environment quite well. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Sharon?
Nothing.
Okay. Steve?
No other comment.
Michael?
I have some concerns about the traffic, specifically the want to make the left turn onto Fairmont. And also, I know we just heard today that the egress onto Route 44 isn't going to happen. How is that going to affect the number of cars that attempt to make the left turn onto Fairmont? It's not something that should be addressed with our traffic consultant. And then to add to what Mr. Finelli had said, I think that everyone here has sat through traffic on that section of Fairmont and has seen the entire section full from light to light. And to have a car make a left turn out of the main lot into that type of traffic is just going to exacerbate the situation. So perhaps a conversation with our consultant about having no left turn during certain designated hours, that could be something that works during the rush hour type. Or maybe not. This is something that, we're clearly concerned about, and this needs to be addressed. That's all.
Okay. Thank you. At this time, I have no further questions. I think you've received some comments tonight that maybe you can go back and take a look at, and then resubmit some things to us, essentially. And can you make a motion, please? Rocco?
I move that the plan and board to defer action on this application and to direct the applicant to respond to comments of the plan and board and those received from town departments and agencies, including but not limited to the following 1 through 12.
Second.
Moved in second, call the question, all in favor?
Aye.
7-0. Thank you so much, and we will see you next time.
Yeah, I'm not going,
They're not going far.
I'm not going anywhere just yet. But the next presentation will be, I don't need to. This next one will be very short, so.
Okay, Popeye's amended site plan, 535 Kate Avenue, seeker review and amended site plan review.
Roger Keating from LaBelle Associates, here representing the owner of the Popeyes site, adjacent to the credit union. We just went through a number of the comments as it pertained to the plan as it for the credit union. Since these are kind of walking hand in hand as it relates to the circulation. As I had stated in previously for the credit union site, the previous design, we were going to come in this side and then reverse through the other lot out to Fairmont. That's since been reversed, so essentially the change in the site plan for this still remains the same, just that we spin the direction, that two of the parking spaces that are right up here where this access is, the credit union is gonna provide those on their property with an maintenance access agreement, and parking agreement between the two. So, and then we've just restriped these parking spaces and provided a sidewalk on the credit union site to bring those people over, to this side. That is really the limit of the site plan changes from last time. And instead of the arrows going in, they've turned to come out. And, the balance of the site plan remains the same. So that's all I have on this one.
Thank you. Kristen?
It is on for a public hearing this evening, the first public hearing. It is on for seeker review, for an unlisted action, subject to a coordinated review. Again, planning board declared their intent to serve as lead agency in December. No objections have been received. It is on for an amended site plan review. My comments are pretty minimal on this particular application, but as it relates to the Hudson Valley Credit Union application and the ITM parcel, the traffic engineer and I were talking about the egress, and the Arlington Fire Department actually also, just given their frequent trips on Main Street, Popeyes is a busy restaurant, and their drive-throughs they have a dual drive-through, and both are heavily used. So some of the traffic that is proposed to exit out of the ITM parcel, there's an option to either go south or north, south to Haight or north to Main Street. The traffic that goes south through the parcel has to actually queue behind those folks that are in the drive-through. So we just wanted to take a closer look at that. And I think, again, that's just another conversation to have between the applicant and staff. And it is on for public hearing. Staff are recommending that you open the public hearing, adjourn the public hearing, and defer action with comments. Again, happy to facilitate any meetings as necessary.
Okay, thank you. Andy, engineering, did you have anything?
Yeah, we really don't have much. We're just asking for the easement agreement, for the use of the access.
And traffic?
Hi, good evening. We had a few minimal site signing and striping comments, which we think can all be addressed. And then it kind of, as Kristen was noting, with the circulation, the traffic report does analyze all the vehicles exiting right and going north, not going towards the drive-through, but it's just something that we also would like to see what the applicant would provide for with any vehicles that would want to exit to the south, or how they'd like to address that comment.
Okay, thank you. I move the planning board open for public hearing.
Second.
Moved in second, called the question, all in favor?
Aye.
7-0. Is there anyone in the room or anyone online that would like to comment on this application?
Does not appear to be.
Okay. I move the planning board adjourn the public hearing to July 16th, 2026.
Second.
Moved in second, called the question, all in favor?
Aye.
7-0. Okay, let's go around the room.
Hello.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you have a question?
Yeah, I wanted, I was gonna ask a question. Could you, just I'm one of representing one of the, owners of the shopping center. Could you tell us who the presenter is, for the application and the company they work for that's been making the presentation?
Yes, it's Roger Keating from Labella Associates.
How do you spell that? Labelle? How do you spell that?
Labella,
Labella?
correct.
Okay, and what is your name?
Roger Keating.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Let's go around the room. Robert?
I have nothing.
Peter?
The owners of, is there a relationship between the ownership of Popeyes and the applicant for the credit union?
They're two different entities, the credit union and.
They're totally different?
Yes.
And they have an agreement in principle as far as the deed of easement is concerned?
Correct, yeah, so part of the delay with this project initially, after some initial workshops, was we worked for several months to get to a point where we can
Gotcha.
get this type of access.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Rocco?
No comment.
Sharon?
Nothing.
Steve?
Yeah, just one question. When the traffic flows out and it doesn't go to Main Street, if I look at this diagram, it says they have to go through the drive-through. Is the only way they can get out?
Yeah, and our plan is to put signage up to have people go right out of here, which is consistent with what the traffic engineer indicated as well. As the intent is to put some signage here to have it as an exit out to Main Street. We want to encourage people to go that way versus the other.
That's all I have.
I just wanted to be clear here. You have an agreement in principle, but the intent is to have a permanent recorded easement?
That is correct. Yeah, we're obviously not going to file that until we get to an end game here, you know, as it relates to just how we're gonna, sidewalk placement and things along those lines, so we're all
And
clear.
the final signed unrecorded easement will be provided to staff
Yeah,
as part of
it's,
this.
yeah, it was as per, Andy's requesting the same, sir.
That would be a condition of approval.
Yeah.
I would like to say one thing. You know, I'm glad to hear that you're going to provide signage. I think you will provide us with a copy of the signs that you plan to use, because one of the concerns that was expressed by the traffic division and the police department was that that would be used, the site would be used as a bypass for people who were eager not to get caught in line. So we just want to see a copy of the sign, make sure that it's going to be
Oh, sure.
something that will convince people that it's the right thing to do.
We can work with the language, with the town on how the sign is, you know, worded, for sure.
Thank you. Thanks.
And I don't have anything at this time.
You want a motion? Okay, I move that the planning board defer action on this application and direct the applicant to respond to comments of the planning board and those received from town departments and agencies included, including but not limited to the following 1 through 11.
Second.
Moved in second, called the question, all in favor?
Aye.
7-0. Thank you. Next up is Vassar College Sunset Lake Pond Restoration, Seeker Review, Major Land Contour Permanent Review, and Aquatic Resource Permanent Public Hearing.
Did you get this? Oh, it must be extra.
Yeah.
Good evening. For the record, my name is Tracy Chalifo. I'm a landscape architect based in Danbury, Connecticut. And with me tonight, I have Mark Amler. His company is Pristine Waters, and he's the contractor that is proposing to dredge Sunset Lake at Vassar College. If I may share my screen. Is everyone able to view this? Yes.
Yes. we
Okay,
have a
thank
screen
you.
there.
So I just wanted to give a general overview of the project to benefit anyone who is not able to attend the hearing last month. We're proposing to dredge Sunset Lake, which is a 2.78 acre pond within the Vassar campus. And the method of dredging is hydraulic dredging, which is a suction method. The pond over time has accumulated about 2 feet of sediment. And the proposal is to suction that sediment out and direct it to dewatering tubes that would be staged on the eastern hillside of the pond. We hope to balance the cut and fill to set up these tubes. They're of varying sizes to accommodate approximately 8,500 cubic yards of wet sediment, which would dewater to about 1,700 to 3,400 cubic yards of dried sediment, so that the slurry would be pumped from the pond to the tubes. The sediment would remain in the tubes until it's completely dry, and at that point, the tubes would be cut open, and the spoils, which is another term for the dried sediment, would be trucked off the property for proper disposal. I'd also like to note that there's a great quantity of water chestnut growing on this pond. So with sediment, this water chestnut will also be removed from the pond and be pumped to the tubes. This plan shows sediment and erosion controls throughout. There's a stabilized construction access coming off of Sunset Lake Road, I believe it's called. And the construction access would proceed here, and here's the first smaller tube. There's a larger tube staged here, 2 tubes actually, with a smaller tube cradled on top. As the tubes are being filled with the slurry, the water would leap out and be directed via gauntlets, which are basically plastic-lined channels, back to the pond. So the intention is not to draw the pond down while this operation is happening, which is really beneficial to the habitat of the pond. So basically, the animals are protected throughout the process. There are numerous turbidity curtains indicated, one sort of midway down the lake, and also turbidity curtains where the gauntlets direct the water back to the pond. But that's something an eye would be kept on those, and they'd be moved as necessary throughout the dredging operation to make sure that turbidity is kept to a minimum throughout the pumping process. An eye would be kept on the weather as well during the pumping process. Staging areas for equipment and storage are indicated at the north end of the lake. And we did receive comments from various town departments, and those have been addressed. We've been trying to keep up to date with all of those comments. There are sediment and erosion control details shown in this set, and also there are pond dredging sections shown, cross-sections taken from 3 different locations of the pond. But again, there's approximately 2 feet of sediment within the pond to be removed, and the intention is just to restore it to its original depth. So we're not deepening it, we're just going back to what it was essentially. And I'd like to emphasize that any disturbance is temporary. So after those dewatering tubes have been removed, the hillside would be regraded to the pre-construction topography, and it would be seeded again as lawn. I'm happy to answer any of your questions, make any clarifications, or if you'd like to learn a little bit more about hydraulic method dredging, Mark is your person to direct those questions to. Thank you.
Thank you. Eric?
Sure. Let's see, the application's on tonight for a public hearing, also for the secret environmental review, a major land contour permit, and aquatic resource permit. And they were on last time. There was a lot of information was provided in response to questions. Thank you for the thoroughness of those responses. Appreciate it. Tonight, the board has a recommendation in front of it. We've recommended public hearing and a negative declaration for seeker. and a conditional approvals, if you think that it's ready. Probably the largest issues for this might have had to been the wetland permits that are required. I'll let the wetland consultant go do details on that, but basically the town's aquatic resource permit in this case is making use of the Army Corps permit and the New York State freshwater wetlands materials for the town's application as permitted by the code. It seems to meet all of the requirements for those. There's some concern, the state wetland regs, there was court action that nullified those regs. Recently, the DEC just very recently came out with an update indicating what applicants may need to do in order to comply, so there will be a continued compliance check apparently, remaining to be determined. This is all evolving as we speak, but the recommendation is that the planning board could proceed with conditional approvals, and if the applicant is willing to comply with whatever the permit requirements are.
Okay, thank you. Andy, did you have anything?
I mean, we had, most of our comments were related to erosion sediment control. They've done a nice job of addressing those on the plans. We did ask them to submit a SWIP report, which was provided, and, you know, completion of that review can absolutely be a condition of approval, so.
Thank you. Carol, are you on from Aspen?
I am here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, we are accepting the nationwide permit from the Corps and the DEC permit at both applications as our application as allowed by our town code. The federal permit, nationwide 27, this project, it's for natural aquatic resource restoration enhancement. This activity is planned, designed, and implemented, should be implemented fully to align with that permit. They're using the previous conditions as their reference, and it will result in a net increase in aquatic functions and services. So that permit should be issued. There's a time compliance the Army Corps is supposed to comply with. We haven't had luck with that, but since it complies with the nationwide permit, we feel comfortable with just having the applicant contact them and provide the contact information to us and grant a conditional permit. As far as the DEC, there was a letter of positive jurisdiction from the DEC. It had indicated that because of an unusual importance criteria, meaning within the floodplain, and that there were previously mapped wetlands in proximity to the parcel, therefore they had to comply with the DEC regulations, the new ones. As of last week, there is the DEC's guidance is now for if you got a positive jurisdiction, they're saying you need to get a redetermination, a reassessment of jurisdictional determination. As far as the previously mapped wetlands, that really isn't the case. I think they were looking at the entire Vassar parcel because the closest wetland is 400 feet south of the southern tip, and that's basically the wetlands off of Zach's Way. So we're talking about 1,500 feet from the project. So again, we're having the applicant fill in the reassessment form to DEC, and hopefully they'll get information, they'll get that back. But they're just to keep us in the loop as to what the application materials are saying. Only comment is requesting the turbidity curtain details, which were lacking on the plans. And then we always have the option to shut a project down for violation, but we just wanted that on the plan that said the town can require immediate suspension of dredging should excess turbidity be noted downstream and be tracked to this project. So just an extra precaution on the plan. So I know we're still in a little bit of a quandary with both the permits, but I think we're good to go. This is a great project.
Thank you. Let's start with Michael. Oh, I'm sorry. sorry, public hearing. I move the planning board open the public hearing.
Second.
Moved in second, called the question, all in favor?
Aye.
7-0. Is there anyone in the room or on the video that would like to speak on this project?
Could you release the screen so we can see the public on the screen? Thanks.
Still not seeing anybody jumping up and down or waving, so I think we're okay.
Okay. I move the planning board close the public hearing.
Second.
Moved in second, called the question, all in favor?
Aye.
7-0, okay. Let's go around. Michael, sorry.
I don't have any comments. Looks like a good project.
Okay. Steve?
Just one comment. I noticed that you have a 6-foot-high pedestrian protective fence in the area that you're working in. But on the other side's a gravel path, and I've seen a lot of students walking that. While you're doing this work, should you also consider blocking that off?
Yes, the intention is to have the fence surround the work area, and the fence should actually go really all the way down to the water's edge, so that pedestrians can't access that work area at all, even while the tubes are dewatering.
No, my question is a little different. On the other side of the lake is where the
On the
path
west
is,
side?
where a lot of students go. Have you also considered blocking that off, just because you know students, they'll be looking at things, you don't want anybody to fall into an area. It's just a thought.
Right, that's something we'll look at, because that's probably a good thing to consider, to completely block off that path.
Thank you, that's all.
Sharon?
No comment.
I've got a couple of quick things. First of all, do we know how long it took for the sediment to build up? Because I'm asking regarding how often would something like this have to be done?
To my knowledge, Mark Amler, Pristine Waters. To my knowledge, it hasn't been dredged in decades. So using that as a predictive measure for future dredging, I'm not gonna say it's gonna be exactly the same, but I would expect it to take significant period of time. Again,
Okay,
decades.
So we really don't know, do we know the source of the sediment?
Yeah, the source of the sediment is primarily when you have what's happening more recently, more frequently, these kind of flash flood-like rains. You're seeing erosion in the creek that leads down into the pond. I think that's probably the predominant source.
Okay, so that could be happening more often.
Yes.
And then what would be the source of the contamination?
That is the creek, most likely.
The creek?
Raka, if I could comment on that?
Yes, please.
I mean, this stream basically runs through, from Tucker Drive, the old landfill,
Okay.
the development, and then Manchester Gardens, and all of those were developed subsequent to the creation of the pond. And that's typically when you get the most of the sedimentation and the erosion, is when you have, new construction projects. So there's been a lot of filling in of the wetlands, up gradient of that. But now there's a lot of vegetation in there, so it's probably going to be less, is my guess. And
Okay.
plus with all the regulations, the erosion sediment standards, control standards that we have to go through now that we didn't have to do in the 50s and 60s and 70s.
Okay,
So,
so what is your estimation?
oh gosh, I don't know, but if it's been 100 years now, it's, it could very easily go that
Let
bad.
me ask it this way. So if this has to be done again, they would have to come in and reapply. Okay. All right, thank you.
Peter?
I don't think any of us will be here when they have to do it again.
Well, on that cheery note.
Just one quick comment. I want to thank you for appearing here tonight. Most of the applications that we review are very dry in nature.
But,
Oh.
Robert, do you have anything?
I have.
No?
Okay. Let's see, I move that the planning board to determine that the proposed Vassar College Sunset Lake Pond Restoration Project would not have a significant adverse impact on the environment and that no environmental impact statement will be required for the reasons set forth in the seeker negative declaration for an unlisted action dated May 21st, 2026.
Second.
Moved in second, called the question, all in favor?
Aye.
7-0.
Okay, I move that the plan board grant the conditional major land contour permit and the conditional aquatic resource permit approval, subject to the following. Respond to the comments of the plan board and those received by town departments and agencies. Said the responses to be reviewed by the planning department as to adequacy and the completeness, including but not limited to the following 1 through 6.
Second.
Moved in second, called the question, all in favor?
Aye.
7-0. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a nice evening.
You too. Next up is South Hills Commons, seeker review, amended site plan review, and architectural review.
Good evening, Amy Bombardieri for South Hills Commons. This is a proposed, there's an existing 4-building apartment complex on 9D, and the proposal is for an additional 5th building, which would require a zoning variance for density. The disturbance has been limited to a 20,000 square foot area. There'll be removal of trees, existing trees. There was a number of trees planted as part of the development for the 4 buildings. So the trees that are going to be removed are not the ones that have recently been planted. There's a robust planting plan to create screening to accommodate the loss of screening for the trees that have to be removed. The building that's proposed is going to match the other 4 buildings exactly. There's a varying color scheme between the buildings, but it'll be one of those color schemes on the 5th building. The drainage is going to be, I think it's going to be accommodated by what's existing there currently for the previous development. So the additional runoff from the 5th building will be infiltrated on site, and it's going to connect to the currently available water and sewer on site.
Kristen?
Great. It is on for a public hearing this evening. Seeker review for an unlisted action, subject to a coordinated review. The planning board declared their intent to serve as lead agency in September. To date, no objections have been received. It's on for amended site plan review and architectural review. As part of this application, a density calculation, maximum density calculation is requirement. Maximum density calculation is required. And we had some conversation back and forth between staff and the applicant last week. Amy, I know you reworked the numbers based on that conversation. We feel pretty comfortable with the numbers at this point. I also know you had sent an email out. I don't know what day it was, if that was yesterday or today, but there were photos provided showing staff which trees would be removed. I think you said there would be 15 trees.
Correct.
And you've provided a landscaping plan to show where you're proposing to put new trees and provide additional screening and landscaping. I will, if the board has questions or wants clarification, I'll just kind of let them talk to you about that. So at this point, staff did prepare a neg deck for the board's consideration, just pending clarification. I just want to confirm the area of disturbance in there. But there is a neg deck prepared for your consideration this evening. And if the board felt comfortable, you would open the public hearing, hear any comments, adjourn the public hearing, act on seeker, and then defer action. Their next stop would be going to the ZBA regarding the maximum density calculation.
Okay, thank you. Andy?
Sure. So I agree with Kristen. We had some comments about the impervious area calculations. We reviewed that. We received the updated report today, took a quick look at it, and it seems fine, so we're good with that. We're seeing that also directly relates to the SWIP and the stormwater calculations, and we're comfortable that the SWIP is in a good place at this point. As far as utilities are concerned, we have some minor comments on inverts and cleanouts and stuff like that that could easily be addressed. They do have a will serve application submitted for the tri-municipal. We've reviewed that and provided some comments. We are asking that they TV the existing sewer line that goes behind the existing houses there, just to look for any issues that might be there. That's also kind of a requirement of the tri-municipal application to look for I&I issues where possible. I'm okay with moving ahead with seeker because I can confirm that the town has adequate capacity in the tri-municipal plant to serve this project.
Okay, thank you. I move that the planning board open the public hearing.
Second.
Moved in second, called the question, all in favor?
Aye.
7-0. Is there anyone in the room or online that would like to comment on this application?
Amy, if you could stop sharing your screen, I want to just be able to see who's online in this. Thank you. Anyone online wish to comment on this application? South Hills Commons? You can unmute yourself, raise your hand. Not seeing any.
Amy, July?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because,
okay.
well, you would adjourn the public hearing because you're going to go to ZBA next, so I think July is probably.
Definitely.
Okay. I move the planning board adjourn the public hearing to July 16th, 2026.
Second.
Moved in second, called the question?
Aye.
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 7-0.
There's a lot of.
Okay, let's go around the room. Michael?
The existing 4 buildings, how close is the closest one to any of the houses along 9D there?
Of the existing 4,
Yes.
they're pretty far. There's a parking, there's 100 feet at least.
How close is the new building going to be to the houses on 9D?
Hang on one second.
It looks significantly closer.
So the house,
To the property line, it's 52.81 feet.
so, and the houses are closer to 9D, so they probably have at least 50 to 75 feet behind the houses, which face 9D, so.
And then the only variance they need is for density.
That's the one I've been focused on, because it works hand in hand with the site plan. So they're proposing sidewalks, so that factors into the calculation, things like that, any other improvements. I think there's a side yard setback, potentially.
I think, is it 100 feet?
There's the 50-foot vegetative buffer.
Yep, so there's according to the zoning administrator, there's the density variance, there's a variance needed for the buffer, and that seems to be it, so.
So in the buffer, the structure's not going in the buffer. It's the parking area extends into the buffer. The structure's outside of the 50-foot vegetative buffer, and a substantial number of trees were planted in that area, and a substantial number will be planted as a result of this new building.
Thank you.
Sure.
Steve?
No comment.
Sharon?
None.
Rocco?
Yeah, I've got a quick comment. The capacity of the refuse bins, I know you're adding another building here. Do you have the capacity there? Because the reason I ask is that I lived in a condo where that was a real serious problem, and the garbage was put outside of the refuse bins. And so it's also kind of far away from this new building.
So they have not had any kind of problem with refuse with the 4 buildings there. There is room inside the existing refuse enclosure to add another container, and if they need to, they can increase pickups.
Yeah, in most cases, it would just increase the pickups. I live in
Yeah.
an apartment complex now where 24 units use one refuse enclosure, pretty much the same size, and we get picked up like twice a week, so.
Okay, is that the pickup schedule here for twice?
I don't know, should I call?
They don't, I think they're just getting one pickup a week, but initially I had proposed a secondary refuse enclosure closer to the new building, and the consensus was that Royal, or whoever they use as a commercial hauler, would not want to do 2 pickups on one location.
Okay, as long as, I mean, that seems to be a concern, having experienced that.
Yeah.
And they had a huge refuse bin where I was. Okay.
So if they don't want to, then they don't have to do it?
Well, I think it's something for the staff to take a look at.
Traditionally, because we've reviewed other refuse enclosures, well, yeah, we've done that too, but other apartment complex projects, they just increase the number of pickups. That's how you solve that. Ultimately, if your tenants are pissed because their garbage isn't getting picked up, their landlord's gonna hear about it.
And if there's garbage laying around,
Trust me.
there's also violations.
Yeah, and they're fully aware that that may be a necessity.
Yeah, and Rocco,
Royal sold out, it's now another name.
What's that?
Casella.
Casella, yeah.
Have they changed the actual name? Okay.
Rocco,
Yes.
in their, how can I say this, in the practical world, generally a carter makes an estimate of the size of the bin,
Okay.
and they have a pretty good reference point for it, and they're generally pretty good about it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
You answered my question.
Peter, do you have any comments?
Just a couple of quickies. The ZBA density calculation, it's in their court,
Correct.
okay? When you submit the site plan, submit a separate page for the landscaping.
Okay,
You submitted a page for the details in this one, but not for an actual landscaping plan.
Okay.
That sets forth, the types of shrubs and the size and so forth. And a question for our engineer, and that is, I know that the DEC has had the Tri-Muni under scrutiny for their I&I situation. So, but there's no restrictions on taking additional flow.
No, there's no restriction on new connections.
Thank you.
Robert?
I have nothing.
Okay.
Okay. I move that the planning board determine that the proposed South Hill Commons amended site plan application will not have a significant adverse impact on the environment for the reasons set forth in the seeker negative declaration for an unlisted action dated May 21st, 2026.
Second.
Moved and seconded, called the question, all in favor?
Aye.
7-0.
I move that the planning board defer action on this application and direct the applicant to respond to comments in writing of the planning board and those received from town departments and agencies, including but not limited to the following 1 through 8.
Second.
Moved and seconded, called the question, all in favor?
Aye.
7-0. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We'll see you next time. Next up is 51 Vassar Road, seeker review, site plan review, and architectural review.
there anyone here for 51 Vassar Road?
Mark Day.
Mark, okay.
He was a character, for sure.
I hope in a good way.
Sometimes.
If you're talking, we don't hear you. Are you on mute,
He's still showing.
Mark?
Amy, are you stepping in for the?
Who's on here?
We see a screen, but we do not hear a voice. You're not on mute.
Oh, no.
Is your microphone on, Mark?
You don't want to call him?
All right, maybe come back to this one?
Is she part of this?
Huh?
Is she part of this?
Oh, she's calling him.
Oh, she's coming. So you hold the phone to the microphone.
Okay. He's calling him.
He's gonna call in, okay. Give it a couple minutes, and then we'll...
You were never here.
Let's give it a minute and then
Yeah,
move on.
yeah, I would agree with that. We have a lot on our agenda tonight, so.
Can we just add him somewhere else?
Yeah. Mark, we're gonna move on, okay? So when you're ready,
We'll hit you up after
Yeah.
after this next application.
okay.
I'm gonna stop sharing screen.
I was like, I could have done my
55
spiel.
Scenic Drive.
Okay.
All right, good evening, Acting Chair and members of the board. For the record, Taylor Palmer with the law firm of Cuddy and Fader. Thank you, Mark, for letting us jump ahead. We appreciate it. Tonight, I am joined by Mike Bodendorf of Hudson Land Design, and while we are a bit dry, I hope our application will also prove to be just that. Before you this evening, we are here for our initial presentation for the public hearing and the application for a lot line revision and a land contour permit, which involves our client's property at 55 Scenic Drive and the abutting property, 7 Spur Way, which is located up the hill from our property. Understanding that you have a busy agenda ahead of you, for the benefit of the board and the public that may be in attendance this evening, I think in the Zoom stratosphere, I'll provide a brief background about the application and the property, and then certainly can answer any questions you might have. The 55 Scenic property is located on the south side, and Mike's going to try and get that up on the screen for you, of Scenic Drive, and it consists of about a 0.4 acre parcel that is improved with a single-family residence, a paver patio, retaining walls, a sport court, as well as an above-ground pool, wooden deck, some landscaping, driveway, and some related improvements. The properties that are both before you are presently classified in the town's R20 zoning district, and the adjacent and surrounding areas are similarly developed with single-family properties and accessory structures. On the southern side of Scenic Drive, which the property is located, the properties abut a hill along their southern and eastern boundaries with peaks about 50 feet above the property. So there's pretty significant topography above the site. The applicants have lived at the property for the past 21 years, and they raised their 3 sons and daughters at the site, and then their parents currently reside at the premises as well. The single-family home on the property was constructed in 1974 and then remained largely unchanged until about 2020, except for the installation in 2014 of the applicant's shed, which was previously located at the rear of their property. Then COVID came around, and during the lockdown, they did make some improvements to their backyard, such as the above-ground pool, the wooden deck, the sport court, and then a basketball hoop, as well as a paver patio and some landscaping. So shortly after, the applicants also built an addition to allow Frank's parents to live with them at the property. During the construction, from about 2024 to 2025, they built some masonry retaining walls in succession in the rear of the property, as well as some additional landscaping. And then they installed some stormwater controls there as well. I'm going to have Mike speak briefly to that in just a minute as it relates to the contour permit that's before you. During the construction, as is more fully detailed in our submission, the applicants have recently been improving the existing residence, so they did have a building permit to put an addition on the property for that. And while they're still working to complete that project, they did receive an order to remedy, which actually sent us to the zoning board, which we've been actively appearing before, and now we're before you for a lot line adjustment. And that relates to impervious coverages as well as the driveway width for the property. We engaged a surveyor, and at that time, we also engaged Hudson Land Design, who looked at the stormwater controls and the existing conditions, including the property immediately to the west. There was a comment received, which is actually the same comment forwarded to the zoning board in connection with this application. At the bottom of the steep hill, essentially that neighboring property is at the bottom of the bucket or the hill, so to speak. Since that time, as I mentioned, we did apply to the zoning board, where we've had a public hearing. As we detailed in our April 27th letter to this board, the applicants developed our site plans, first to reduce some of the impervious coverage. We're proposing to remove the sport court from the application, from the property. We also consulted with the co-applicants, 7 Spur Way, to work through this adjustment or the lot line realignment, adjustment for the revision, which is about 0.2 acres. So about 0.2 acres of the 7 Spur property will be merged into this lot as part of the application that's before you all. Hudson Land Design and Mike's colleague Dan Kohler have been in contact with town staff, including the highway superintendent, about the existing drainage and stormwater connections into the town's system. Shortly after that, we did some camera work. So this is a lot of work that was done with the zoning board and town staff before appearing before you all for this land contour permit and the lot line adjustment. Hudson Land Design did encounter an obstruction in some of the existing catch basins and piping that's there into the town system. That's since been jetted or cleared. So some of the things that were in that pipe have now been moved out, which may have also contributed to some of the historic issues with the adjoining property. With that, more recently, and it was not included in our submission because it just happened last week, Hudson Land Design was also in contact with Mr. Simon, the highway super, who went out and actually found a manhole on the adjoining property in their driveway, in the pavement of that driveway. So I guess within the town's right of way. So they were able to also confirm where these interconnections were. Why that's relevant before the board is we're working with Hudson Land Design to design a stormwater plan. So while we're not asking the board to take any particular actions tonight, we are preparing, now that we have full understanding of where the pipes come from, where they go, we're now gonna work on a fully defined feature, which will effectively include, and Mike can speak to that, a trench drain and then connections into the town system. So with those bits of background, I'll just ask Mike quickly to speak to what you have on the screen, which is a little bit of a preview of what's to come, but I think that's really all we have for you this evening.
Thanks, Taylor. Yeah, so we're before you here tonight for the land contour application, and that relates to the retaining walls that were built towards the rear of the property, and I think perhaps some of the driveway improvements that were done. We're looking to remove a good portion of impervious surface towards the rear and encroaching onto the neighboring property. We'll shorten retaining walls that extend towards the east and bring them onto the property completely, remove all impervious surfaces that are associated with that, and restore to a vegetated state. Just to touch on drainage improvements, or just to go back on the history of the existing drainage on the site. As Taylor mentioned, there's a catch basin towards the rear of the site, and then we discovered another catch basin up towards the front of the site. This whole storm line was clogged with sediment. So it's been jetted out, it's now functioning properly. The manhole that Taylor was discussing before that the town discovered and uncovered is right at the end of the neighboring property's driveway. So that's fully been cleaned, jetted, it's now functioning properly. For drainage mitigation, we're looking at installing some trench drains on the subject property that will catch surface runoff from impervious surfaces that are moving towards the west and possibly getting into that retaining wall and seeping through the retaining wall onto the neighbor's property during heavy rain. We're also looking to add a trench drain towards the back barbecue area where there was some discovered surface runoff heading towards the west. They'll be tied into the drainage system. We think that will stop almost all of the surface runoff from this site going to the neighboring property and get it into the pipe storm network that now is functioning. We're also looking at possibly putting an asphalt berm at the top of the neighbor's driveway to prevent road drainage from entering their driveway from the road.
Which was a recommendation of the highway superintendent when he came out to the site. Or an option, I guess, not a recommendation per se.
When you say neighbor, you mean 57?
57, that's correct.
Thank you. Eric?
Sure. This is a new application for lot line revision and for a major land contour permit. There is no site plan on this application. And also for secret environmental review. We've provided, you have our comments. We're recommending at this time, initially we provided recommendations, alternate recommendations, given recent events and information that some of which has been forwarded to the planning board. We're actually recommending that it be deferred. But there's also a secret classification. We believe that it's an unlisted action, and we are recommending, since it began with the zoning board, we're recommending an uncoordinated review so that the planning board can act and they can continue to interact with the zoning board as they go. You have our comments. There's a few things involved. Mostly we thought it needs additional information on the plans to meet the criteria for land contour. The lot line is in pretty good shape. The land contour, I guess in particular, recent correspondence that we were provided of May 15th from the applicant actually noted that there's a stormwater plan which is in progress. And since that's a significant part of the review, we really think that stormwater plan needs to be provided for the engineer's review before the planning board has information to act upon.
Okay.
That's pretty much it.
Thank you.
Oh, and I guess one other thing I'll mention is, I did also hear from the neighbors, there's a lot of information back and forth. As far as drainage goes, I guess my thinking is just that, it's not really my review, but the thinking is that the issue is not what the drainage conditions have, is not how much water there is, but the effect of whether or not the lot line revision and the land contour permit that are proposed, what those changes to drainage in the vicinity are. That's the issue that I think is before the board.
Okay. Thank you. Andy?
Sure. Like Eric said, we had very minor comments on the lot line realignment. We're looking for some clarifications on the wall elevations in the rear of the property. And I'm really glad to hear that you've been working with the highway superintendent. It sounds like opening up those drains, I mean, based on the photos and videos that we've received from the neighbor, opening up those drains seems like it would make a big difference to resolve many of the issues that they're experiencing. But I would like to see the stormwater plan that you're working on and have that for review before we move ahead. So appreciate you working with them though.
Okay, thank you. I move that the planning board open the public hearing.
Second.
Moved in second, called the question, all in favor?
Aye.
7-0. Is there anyone in the room or anyone online that would like to comment on this application?
We have a hand raised, Mr. Shaw.
Yes.
Okay.
Hi. Hi, this is Mr. Shah and Mrs. Shah, the next door neighbor at 57 Scenic Drive in Poughkeepsie. So I just want, the town of Poughkeepsie and all board members involved in this decision to understand that, just by removing the concrete slab, where the basketball court is, that's not going to help the situation because the water is not coming from that side. The main issue is between our driveway, the retaining wall, and the applicant's driveway. If you look at the pictures, the last page, what is it called? Page 92, the last picture, I'm not there obviously, so it's hard for me to explain, but I'll try my best to explain to you. The way he designed the driveway and all the way in the back where the shed is everything pitching down, and then it pitches down to our back of the property in the backyard. Now, before this everything was done, the above the ground pool, the pavers, the retaining wall, when the applicant only had bushes, there was no issues with water coming into our backyard and getting water into our garage and into the basement. All this is started happening when all this new driveway, the new pavers, retaining wall was done. And I believe most of the things were done without permission, without. So, my main point is just by replacing the slab, which is all the way on the other side of the house, that's not gonna solve the issue. And yes, by jetting the, whatever they did, yes, that's gonna help the situation. But the driveway and the shed, that entire pitch is sloping down in the backyard, and that part is the way he pitched it is way higher than my backyard is. So I don't know if that's gonna help this entire situation by acquiring these 0.20 acres with the 7 spurway neighbors, and by removing that the basketball part. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that wanted to comment on this application? Either in the room or online? Okay, seeing none, I move that the planning board adjourn the public hearing to, are you?
July, I believe July.
Okay,
Yep.
July 16th, 2026.
Second.
Moved in second, called the question, all in favor?
Aye.
7-0. Okay, Carol didn't look at this, right? Okay, let's go around the room. Robert? Peter?
I have a question for Mr. Learn. And when you went to engineering school, did they teach you water runs downhill?
They did.
The reason I asked that question is you have Spurway, which intersects with, I think, King George on the other end. That is already a steep road running directly into Scenic Drive, directly into Mr. Haddad's property. You have about a 25-foot change in elevation to the rear of Mr. Haddad's property. Do you have what's your best guess about the drainage on the rear of Mr. Haddad's property? When you take into consideration the materials that they used, instead of plantings, it looks like a crushed stone.
Right.
What's your opinion?
Well, I mean, anytime you add impervious surface, you're gonna increase the amount of surface runoff. But the fact that they're using crushed stone, that actually, does allow for infiltration.
It does.
After the fact. So, without having, a full, kind of picture of the area, it's hard for me to say how much, runoff is getting to that area. But if it is actually at the bottom of the hill, that's where the water is gonna accumulate. And also why opening up these drains, it's a good thing that they're already there. They don't have to put them in, that could help.
You think that you will get a full picture eventually?
That's what I'm expecting, yes.
Great, thank you.
Rocco?
Yeah, just a quick question here to the landscape designer here. On that retaining wall in the front, I assume that's all on Haddad's property?
That's correct.
Okay, now, are those weeping holes, will they remain?
So they're not exactly weep holes, it's just the joints, and it's a dry laid segmental block wall. So what you're seeing is water seeping through the joints between the blocks, and that's how it's designed. There's not actual holes. There might be channels within the blocks that allow water to move through them, but those dry laid gravity segmental block walls function where the water, to relieve the hydrostatic pressure behind the wall. And if I may, any groundwater, although not the engineer.
So your plan will eliminate that? or we don't know?
What we're looking to do is to eliminate the surface runoff leading towards that wall. We'll intercept it with a drain and stop it before getting to that wall. What could be happening now is you have that impervious driveway, you have sheet flow running off into a stone landscaped area behind that wall, and it's probably just running down through that stone into the drainage layer behind the wall and then out through the wall.
All right, and you'll be able to intercept any runoff with the proposed drain without changing the slope of the driveway to go the other way?
Right. Yeah, we're using a trench drain so that it can just,
Is that?
so we
a
don't have
long-
to regrade the driveway.
Is that a long type of?
Yeah, it's a
drain?
long linear drain.
Okay. All right, because that seems, because Mr. Shaw seems to highlight that being one of his main concerns.
Yes, and historically, before the wall was installed, that was an existing hill that just a grass hill that rolled into that site. So while we have this wall that somewhat acts as a retaining wall, now, as you mentioned, as Mike mentioned, it will catch it through the drain. But historically, that was just a hill that rolled right into that property.
Right, but apparently, according to Mr. Shaw, I wasn't there, so according to Mr. Shaw, that did not have, there was no issue beforehand.
Yes, and we would note,
Issue occurred with the retaining wall.
of course, and for the benefit of the board, there's existing, in the town's files, there's actually a note in the former CO that was issued for the Shaw's property well before their ownership that indicated that the town wasn't responsible for any of the flooding known to occur in that area for that site. So we included that in our submission to you all, because it's not we're not saying, we're trying to address our installations, but historically, there has, and our clients have been there for 22 years. They've only been there, I think, since 2018. There's been issues on that property, but notwithstanding, we're here before you to create that design.
Thank you. Looks like Mr. Shaw might have his hand up.
We've closed the public hearing,
Okay.
so Mr. Shaw, if you have additional questions, if you wouldn't mind maybe emailing them to us and we can take, coming to speak again in July, but emailing them to us would be probably more efficient, so we know what additional concerns you have. That would be good, but the public hearing is adjourned for the moment, so, okay?
And it will, it was adjourned to July 16th, so that would be the next time that this comes before the planning board.
Okay. Thank you.
That is fine. It's not a question, it's just an additional comments. I don't know if I should wait until July.
Could you email us the comment? I mean, technically, the public hearing is adjourned.
Yeah, sure, no problem. Thank
Okay,
you.
Thank you, thank you.
Sharon?
Yes. So 55 is Haddad, 57 is Mr. Shaw.
Correct.
And the other street, 7 Spur, or Spur something, that's the rear of the property?
Behind the property, up the hill.
Is there any catch basins down on Scenic Drive?
There's a
On the road?
Scenic, yes, there are.
That's what was cleared out.
That's just uncovered one.
Yep.
There's a manhole, but I didn't see any catch basins on.
Right, yeah, I don't think the manhole takes surface drainage. I think it's just a
Yeah.
conveyance structure.
Maybe it's not called a catch basin, it's something that would pick up all this excess water.
Well, I think clearing out the existing drainage system between the properties will help a lot with that.
Okay, all right, thanks.
Thank you. Steve?
My questions are on the catch basins. One, when were they put in and why?
I think once again, go ahead, unless Mike's
Yeah,
got
it's
an
a good
answer.
question. I'm not sure when they were put in. I don't know if it was done during the development of a single house, several houses with the road. I'm not sure, but we'll look into that.
The Shaw's property was more recently improved with the driveway that now goes down to their garage. So at some point, that was all grass as well. There was you can look at the historic aerials. So there was sort of a U-turn pull around, and then that driveway was added. And at some point, there was that water feature we're talking about was paved over by that driveway. So at some point thereabout, but otherwise we'll have to look into more specifics. Maybe the highway super might have better answers for us.
That's all I have.
Michael?
Counselor, I did spot a typo on your Exhibit H.
Thank you.
So just take a look at who the grantors are.
Okay.
On the you misidentified the owner there.
Okay.
As far as the driveway is concerned, does the town have, or the town planning board have jurisdiction over the width of this driveway?
Yes.
And so,
The variance that they're in front of the ZBA for, one of the variances is for the width of the driveway. That was one of the reasons that they initially were cited for the violation and came in.
right, are there any other houses in this area that have a triple wide driveway?
That's probably more appropriate question for the ZBA, right? That's one of the things that they are looking at when they're addressing this as well, yeah.
And if I may, we did include an exhibit which we'll provide in our supplemental submission to the zoning board identifying pretty much all the widths in the area to try and show some consistency, or at least that there are other areas where we have more than one driveway entrance, for example. So we can submit that for the board.
Right, thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for the typo. We'll correct it.
Okay. Let's see, I move that the planning board determine that it will conduct an uncoordinated environmental review of the proposed project as an unlisted action.
Second. Oops, sorry. Call the question, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, 7-0.
Okay, I move that the planning board defer action on this application and direct the applicant to respond in writing to comments of the planning board and those received from town departments and the agencies, including but not limited to the following 1 through 5.
Second.
Moved in second, call the question, all in favor?
Aye.
7-0. Okay, we'll see you in July.
Great. Happy Memorial Day, and go Knicks. Yep.
In the interim, we received an email from Amy Bombaderi on behalf of Mark Day. Mark is having internet problems and keeps getting kicked off. He wanted to know if this can just be put on the agenda for next month. So, for 51 Vassar Road, if we want. Yeah,
I think that part of the conversation this evening would have been that staff would recommend that the applicant meet with staff before they were making another submission. So, the submission deadline is on Tuesday, and so I, would have been encouraging a July submission.
so you want to recommend that this be adjourned to the July meeting then? And if the board's comfortable with that, is coming here for not making any progress isn't really going to help anyway.
Right.
Nope.
I just, if I could just go over a couple of things, I think that's important. They did clarify and work through the Dutchess County DPW concerns related to where the driveway was located. They did a speed analysis that the DPW found acceptable for keeping their driveway and citing it where it is currently proposed. But we have questions about, the shared access on the north side of the property. They did provide, at like 4 o'clock today, we got a draft easement that they intend to share with the property owner to the north, that they drafted, but that's not, them having worked through, you know what I mean? Like it's just, I think there's still some open-ended questions, about that. The big issue was getting county highway on board. That's it.
Is it within a realm to ask them to consider an additional entrance to that property? Or is that outside our
At this
scope?
point, DPW has already weighed in the county office, and based on sight lines, and their analysis, it's a county road. The driveway where it is, that's where it's found appropriate.
I just want to tell you now, that's going to be an issue. Okay.
Do you want us to make a motion, or?
You know what,
Saying at
why
this
don't
time?
you adjourn it to, June, and then I can talk to the applicant tomorrow, and then, if needed, we can just adjourn it to July at the June meeting. Cause they're not here to represent their client, so I don't really know what else to say. I don't know if there were SWIP concerns too, or.
Absolutely there were.
Yeah, so that's why I was hoping to take the time, and kind of just.
So let's do what Kristen said, I think. Adjourn it to June. We'll have a conversation with the applicant. Kristen will have a conversation with the applicant. Try to convince them to come back in July, because we think that would be more productive. And we'll go from there.
Did you want want me to open the public hearing and adjourn it to June?
I mean,
or
that's
just-
also fair too, because it
just
was
move it?
advertised and,
There could be someone from
I
the
mean, it's
public
been
here.
open for 18 months, so.
Okay. I move the planning board open the public hearing for 51 Vassar Road.
Second.
Moved and seconded, called the question, all in favor?
Aye.
7-0. Is there anyone in the room or online that would like to speak on 51 Vassar Road application?
It's looking like no.
Okay. Seeing none, I move the planning board adjourn the public hearing to June 18th, 2026.
Second.
Moved in second, called the question, all in favor?
Aye.
7-0. Do you want us to move to defer or? What's the date, June what? Or not?
I would just defer, because then it puts the burden of responding to comments on the record.
Okay.
Oh, wait a minute, let me get.
Or I can do it, that's okay. I move the planning board defer action on this application and direct the applicant to respond to comments in the writing of the planning board and those received from the town departments and agencies included but not limited to the following 1 through 9.
Second.
Moved to second, call the question, all in favor?
Aye.
7-0. Okay, next, 37 Raymond Avenue addition and renovation, seeker review, special use permit, and site plan hearing and architectural review.
I believe Stephen is here, right, Stephen?
Yep, so everybody can see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so good evening, everyone. I'm Steve Whalen of Whalen Architecture, representing the owners for 37 Raymond. The proposal that's before you tonight is to renovate and add on to the existing building at 37 Raymond and to make some site improvements. So the pictures that are before you now, that's the existing building as it is right now. Our proposal, right now the building has two retail units and has 4 apartment units. Our proposal is to renovate the building and add on to it and to match similarly to the design of the Arlington, which is located at, 21 Raymond Avenue. We're also proposing to renovate part of the site to include 11 parking spaces. Any of these improvements to the site is going to be done with pervious pavers. We were also in receipt of comments from the Dutchess County Department of Planning and Development, the Poughkeepsie Planning Department, and the Consultant and Fire District comments.
Eric?
Sure. So, Steve introduced it, it's an application for special use permit and site plan, and architectural review, subject to seeker review also, environmental. It's a seeker unlisted action. We have provided a bunch of preliminary comments. It looks like there's still, it's a good start. We see what the applicant is doing. It seems like a reasonable proposal. We do need still quite a bit more information on the plans. That's covered by our comments. We're recommending the planning board discuss the application, including the architecture, to give them some ideas on your preferences for next time. There are a number of, yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Oh, I did get a call earlier. The applicant did confirm that their intent is to merge the lots. So they did confirm that. And have a discussion, and then we're recommending that the board defer it.
Okay, great. Andy?
Sure, yeah. Like Eric said, we're really looking for some additional details, comments on ADA access and grading, a little more detail to make sure that that complies. And with respect to grading, we need to see the grading in the back, particularly related to the stormwater proposed retention pond on the adjacent parcel that's got an easement for this one. I believe that grading is going to cut into the number of parking spaces that can be provided. So we'll need to see that. And then as far as the dumpster enclosure, the- I'll leave it to the board, but the board may want to consider asking or requesting some sort of a turnaround for that refuse enclosure and the truck, because having the truck back out on Raymond Avenue probably could be a concern. And I think, yeah, that's those are the kind of the big highlights of our comments.
Okay, great. Do we have traffic?
Nope.
On this one? Okay. All right, let's see here. Do you think that you would be coming back in June or July?
Well, we've had a chance to review the comments, and just like Mr. Holman said, yeah, there's several. So I'm going to have a phone conversation like with the owners tomorrow, and
So July?
I can let you know by tomorrow.
No, I need to know now, so July?
We have to adjourn the
It looks
public
like
hearing to a date
July.
specific.
Okay, sounds great.
Gotcha.
I
Okay.
move the planning board open the public hearing.
Second.
Moved in second, call the question, all in favor?
Aye.
7-0, okay. Is there anyone in the room or online that would like to comment on 37 Raymond Avenue?
Steve, could you release your screen so we can see the Zoom panel?
Sure.
All right, so again, if you're on Zoom, please unmute, jump up and down, raise your hand. Looks like no.
Okay, seeing none, I move the planning board adjourn the public hearing to July 16th, 2026.
Second.
Moved in second, called the question, all in favor?
Aye.
7-0. All right, let's go around the room, Michael.
Is there a rear rendering that was submitted? 'Cause I don't see one.
A
We-
rear rendering.
We can provide one for before the next meeting.
So my concern, looking at what you provided here, I know this is just a rendering.
Mm-hmm.
You should indicate if there's any ramps for handicap accessibility here. Because from what I'm looking at, there looks like a step between the front sidewalk and the driveway.
Gotcha.
And-
Okay.
And from looking at this, we can't see if there's anything in the back for a ramp or anything like that.
Okay.
Thank you, Steve.
Yeah, actually, Andy, my question's for you. Since there is a third floor, is there anything in code that says they have to have a sprinkler?
Oh, that is definitely a building department question.
The building department did provide comments, right?
All right.
And it said they must provide information regarding water service, ensure there's sufficient supply for the additional dwelling units, and fire sprinkler system if required. So I think there's still some open questions between the applicant and the building department about what, whether or not this would require under code sprinkler system. So.
During pre-app, I think they were encouraged to do it because the multiple units inside, it would be a benefit. And the fire department was also hoping to have a combined alarm system and panel rather than separate alarm systems. But it's not a clear cut, do it or not do it.
Okay, thank you. That's
Sharon?
all.
No, nothing.
Rocco?
Okay, a couple of quick things for the architect. Sheet 5A1.1 on the left-hand side and the proposed basement floor plan. How will you access the boiler room and storage utilities without going through Unit 1? I assume you have to complete that.
Yeah, these are just like simple layout plan, or like just showing like where the units are going to be in the building. So we could certainly provide like a vestibule, which would go either into Unit 1 or would go into like the boiler room, the storage, and then the utility closet.
Right, well, I assumed it was just, you didn't have time to put it in, but I assumed that we're not going through Unit 1 to get to those other areas.
Yeah, once these plans are developed, yeah, that will not,
Okay,
to get access, it will not be through Unit 1. That's correct.
okay, two more quick ones. 6A 1.2, how are we getting that to the loft office? It looks like you have a spot for stairs, but you don't show it. I don't see the stairs anyplace else.
So the stairs it's hidden by this hatch pattern. But as you come into unit 5 or come into unit 6, the stairs are right here. I don't know if you can see my cursor.
Oh, okay, I see, all right, I got you.
It was a bad PDF job.
Okay, so those would be part of unit 5 and unit 6.
That's correct.
Okay, last one, pretty quick here. With the additional units, I assume you're gonna have additional HVAC, and where would that be located? And will it be hidden?
Yes, we do have to look at, what type of HVAC system we will be providing for the building, but yes, it will be hidden. Location to be determined.
Okay, so that's a future thing. Okay, that's what I got.
Yep.
Thank you. Peter?
This is a great example of adaptive reuse. I took a course in historic preservation, and what they've done here is created really an historic building with the gables, the windows, split timbers. I mean, it's really, I think, something that the neighborhood is looking for. It's going to be a real plus.
Okay, thank you. Robert?
Nothing.
Nothing? And I have nothing else to add at this time.
Okay, let's see, I move that the planning board to determine that it will conduct an uncoordinated environmental review of the proposed project as an unlisted action.
Second. Moved in second, called the question, all in favor?
Aye.
7-0.
I move that the planning board to defer action on this application and to direct the applicant to respond in writing to comments of the planning board and those received from town departments and agencies, including but not limited to the following 1 through 11.
Second. Moved and seconded, call and question, all in favor?
Aye.
7-0. Okay, thank you so much, we will see you in July.
All right, appreciate it. Thank you.
Next up, Poughkeepsie Speedway.
Good evening, Ken Casamento from LRC, representing the Speedway. I'm going to share my screen real quick. So, as many of you may or may not know, the Poughkeepsie Speedway has been here for quite a few years. Somewhere between 1980 and 1990 is when it started. It sits on about 9.9 acres of land in the town of Poughkeepsie, right on the creek. The project had, an old track on the property for a road course that had gone away somewhere about the time that they were doing the rail trail constructions across the road. Not exactly sure of the date. But the owner and operator is looking to bring back the track to have that there. So we've proposed a new road course with a connection to the existing oval course. Through that process, we did learn that some of the structures that are on the site, primarily sheds, and I'll go through those in a minute, never really got building permits obtained for them. So as part of this action and this application, we're going to rectify all that so that we have a valid site plan and we have everything up to speed for the existing buildings that are there. The current operations typically have between 20 and 30 on the racers on their regular racing. These tracks will not operate independently. So there'll either be an oval race or there'll be a road course race. It'll be only one at one time. There isn't you wouldn't run two races at the same time here. There are no fuel storage. All the carts, there's a kart series, and I have some pictures at the end to give an example of what type of carts that are here. They're all considered the kart series of vehicles. You're required to bring your own fuel in and your own fuel out. Anything you do is by the applicant. There is no sales, there's no storage, there's no bulk storage of fluids or anything like that here at the facility. They do have some main events, some larger events that they do get more racers. Typically, these come with trailers, and because they're so small, a lot of these racers have 2 or 3 carts per trailer. The primary people that watch these races are families. They're either coming with them, or there's a few people that will come around them, grandparents, that type thing. It does involve a lot of youth racing, but it does also have adult racing as well. Proposed asphalt area is an addition to the existing oval track. It comprises of just under an acre of disturbance. There's really 0 grading proposed. It is going to follow the existing contours that are there. The only grading is at the connection to the oval track. You see there's a couple close contours. It does rise up a little bit that we have to move out because that would be too dangerous to go up and down at that angle there. So we do have that little bit of grading in there. Otherwise, it's primarily just removal of the topsoil and placement of subgrade for the track itself. There is a floodplain and floodway. We are working with a floodplain consultant to understand some of the elevations, but the floodway extends just past the area of work, so no work is proposed in the floodway, but there is work proposed in the floodplain. We did receive comments from staff and from the consultants. We are working on trying to make sure that all of the existing and proposed items will work with the floodplain itself. So we have to make sure we have some electrical upgrades to do to the structures, and as I talk through that, I'll explain a little of that. The starter station, I had referred to it on the plans as a press box, but really it is a starter station. Was historically in this location. It was put up by the former owner, but it essentially is just for employees only. There's no, bleacher set up. There's nothing here like that. It is just for the starter stands in the box. You have an EMT that looks out one of the windows. You have the race officials in the other 2 windows, just keeping an eye on the track itself. There are speakers here. There are 2 on the post over here and on the post that's behind me, both of these light poles here. Those speakers are not announcements during the race. They are announcements of who's up next, so to speak, because otherwise the drivers wouldn't know when their division is called. That's all it's used for. The second structure over here is a ticket booth. It is a dry storage shed that currently just is when you come in, you buy your tickets. That's all it is. It was just upgraded from a lean-to structure there. The third structure is a weigh station. It holds the scales for the track because I guess the cars get weighed afterwards to confirm they are within tolerance of the actual track itself. As you note in here, we do see there has been and is a encroachment over the property line to the neighboring property from some of the asphalt. As part of the proposal, we are going to remove that asphalt and just pull it back to our property line. We don't need that area. It was just there. And lastly, just an idea of the type of carts that are here, from the younger kids to a little bigger kids. They have a body on them, but they are still considered carts. They're the small wheels and small cycles motors in all of them. And that was my quick version through it, because I know we have a lot of things on the agenda. So.
Okay, thank you. Eric?
Sure. This is on for seeker review, special use permit and site plan hearing. We are recommending the board classify it for seeker and to defer action subject to comments. Mostly we just need a lot more information on the plans. They're listed. There's quite a few. There's a number of seeker issues as well. Some of it may just be a matter of documenting what's there. We didn't find an applicable formal plan on file, so we are looking to fix a lot of information about what's there, what's happening, and what the limits are, like parking for the trailers, and where do people park? Where are they going? It's in the floodplain, and it's in the, there's an aquatic buffer there. Is that, we don't think it's part of the operations, but we want to get it all on the plan so we know what's where. And then for seeker, it's really going to be the delta. The issue for the board will be the delta between what's there as an existing use that's allowed versus what's proposed. Maybe a little challenging to define exactly what that is, but that's really the issue for the board on seeker. That's my comments. Oh, and I guess also, I did leave one comment I neglected to put on here, is that it would be better for the board to, it's up to the board, but we would recommend the board require a full environmental assessment form for this, just because in doing the review, there were so many little issues that could be subject to seeker that should probably get addressed in writing, so that when it comes time, the board has information on it, which are not addressed by the short EAF. For example, the EAF mapper identifies endangered species. Chances are there's not going to be much of an issue because of the existing use over the years, but to get the record complete, we should get that full EAF and get applicant information on it.
Okay, thank you. Andy?
And we can do that as part of our next submission.
Thank you.
Okay, great, thanks.
Yeah, so Ken and Eric, addressed quite a few things in my list, particularly related to the floodway and floodplain concerns. One thing, I guess, that I would like to see more information on is, restroom facilities and how that's handled, particularly with large crowds. And I drive by frequently. I do see a food truck there from time to time, so it'd be interesting to know how that's handled, especially since if they are using temporary facilities, we certainly don't want them to be, we want them to be temporary, especially in the floodplain.
They are all temporary, Andy, and I apologize, I forgot to mention that, based on our preliminary discussions, and we have talked to the applicant about making sure that they are anchored, so that if there is a flood while they're still there, they would be immovable, so they wouldn't move to a surface underneath. So we would put that on the plans going forward.
Yeah, so I mean, as far as that's concerned, I think if they're temporary, I think we'd want to know a time frame, like is it removed at the end of the season? We can get into those details later.
Yep.
Was curious about the trailer parking, typical parking configurations and how many to expect, something else that we would want to talk about. And then maybe just a real quick clarification, Ken, I didn't put this in the comment letter, but I see that there's two different shades of pavement on the plan. Can you clarify what the difference is there?
Yes, so let me I'll pull it back up so I can just. So, what this is there's the road course has a connection here, and it can operate as a smaller road course for certain particular cart sizes, or it can operate as a larger road course that goes connected to the existing course over here as a full road course. So that's the only difference of the pavement, that these sections here may not be in use at all times. It would only be in use when they're doing the full course around both oval track and the course here.
Okay, so there's no difference in the pavement section then?
Nope, not at all. And one thing that isn't on here that came out of that discussion is we are putting a small starter stand, which is just going to be for this one a pedestal like deck in this area here, so that when this is run on the small course, they have an actual starter stand to work off of. So we'll add that into the next plans and provide information for that.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you. Carol?
I don't think, was Carol on this one?
No.
No, Carol's not on
I don't think so. But
She had some comments.
Oh, she has comments?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
she did that.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, I had spoken to Eric about this earlier, and I thank you, Ken, for a lot of that information, which we didn't know beforehand. We didn't know if these were gas or electric. If you're not familiar with with the existing course. But there are a number of issues that they're not significant likely, but with a full EAF, they'll get addressed. There's several endangered species listed in the EAF, I'm sorry, on the mapper, archaeological sites, wetlands, floodplain remediation sites. And just having the full form with an explanation of all that should take care of it. But right now, we need that for the record. So thank you for the explanation, but let's get a little more down on paper for the record.
No problem at all.
Thank you.
Oh, and as far as the floodplain, we did request the adjacent page property, the parking lot area that they were going to use for equipment storage. We required some things from them because of the floodplain. Basically, are you moving equipment out of there in advance if there's a known flood coming? And that's probably the same with this. And you said they're anchoring them down, but otherwise, if typically there's a couple of days that there's going to be some significant flooding. So, some kind of a contingency plan to move anything out if need be.
There's really nothing here for storage that's outside of the sheds. The only thing would be the porta potties. And we've already discussed with the company about trying to have them come and only drop them off for an event, but they won't do that. They park them for the season and then they come get them on the other end, and they come out once every couple weeks to pump them, but they don't have the ability to bring them every single event.
If there was a flood coming, I'm sure you'd call them and they would come get them. So they're not downstream.
And they'll be tied down, like we said,
Yeah.
so they don't go anywhere.
Yeah, so we just need that information on paper.
Yep.
Thank you.
And if I may, one last thing, because I forgot to mention it, there are lights on the oval track that are existing. We're not proposing any new lights for the road course, and the course wouldn't be operated in the evening. The typical hours are from 12 to 9. The lights are always off by 9 o'clock, and racing is done. There may be people on site as they close up, and there's a lot of gathering that occurs afterwards and talking and hanging out. But there isn't any racing that occurs after that.
And when is the season? The race season?
April through November.
Okay.
So we're missing the summer season, but we're working on trying to hopefully get there so that they can open the oval track for at least the fall season and get through that.
Okay, thank you. Let's see. Move the planning board open the public hearing.
Second.
Moved and seconded, called the question, all in favor?
Aye.
Is there anyone in the room or online that would like to speak on this application? Seeing none, I move the planning board adjourn the public hearing to, Ken, you want to come back in July?
Yes, July.
To July 16th, 2026.
Second.
Moved and seconded, called the question, all in favor?
Aye.
7-0.
Okay.
Robert?
Okay, well, you already answered a couple of questions, hours of operation, it's just gonna be weekends?
It's primarily weekends, but there are some midweek events occasionally, yes.
And the hours of operation will stay the same?
Yep, stay the same, all of it.
And this is a special use permit too, so we can make some of those things conditions of the approval once we document, once we know exactly what those are, but I think that's something we can clarify.
The other thing, just about the vehicles, you said they're all internal combustion, they're all gasoline powered, correct?
Correct, yes.
What are they rated, with horsepower or with CC? How do they rate these? Because I see there's different classes.
I don't know that answer entirely. I can get you that answer. I believe it's CCs, but I don't know that answer entirely.
I'm kind of referring to noise levels, and that's what I'm getting at.
What I can say is, and it's something that actually Eric and I talked about before, is it's in a kind of private location. And when you think about it, it's operated here since 1980, 1985, somewhere in there. And we all know the town. If there are noise complaints for cars running, everyone here at this board would have heard of it. So I don't know that there's been a problem, but I don't know that exact information, but I can get it for you for the next submission.
Last question, approximately how many people do you expect at these events?
The weekly events, there's about 25 to 30 regular racers that come with their families. The larger events, they can have about 120 cars that come, that race. Those are but they only occur typically 2 or 3 times a year. There's not many of those. They're more of the, like featured races that show up.
Okay, that's all I have, thank you.
Peter?
I'm good.
Okay.
Nothing at this time.
Sharon?
I'm good. No comment.
Michael?
I have a question. Where do people park?
So, and let me pull it back up. Come on. So typically, what happens is, as they come in here, the truck and trailers or pickups with a trailer, they'll park along this side here, ring right around, and that's enough of the vehicles for that. And then around the fence, historically, they'd park their cars here around the fence to watch. Now that the road course is open, they would normally park their cars along this side of the fence. We expect that we would have a few cars that would park along this side of the fence over in here. One of the things that we'll do, based on the discussion with Eric and staff, is that we want to identify those areas so that they're limited to where they are parking, so that they're not haphazardly parking all over. One of the things we are going to add through discussions with the applicant is a fence out by the road, a little closer to the entrance to the whole facility. Because historically, a lot of people have come in here and just parked to go down in the stream, to go fishing, to do other things, and they want to try to eliminate that with the new owner. It doesn't want people on the property for that.
Thank you.
Can I ask another question? Ken, I got a quick one for you. How close is this to the rail trail?
It's a quick one, but I don't know the exact dimension. What I could do is.
Well, the concern is if you said it's between 3 and 9, usually. They run the races from 3 p.m. to 9 p.m.?
No, they run from noon. They open at noon, and they go, the latest they'll go is at 9 o'clock.
Okay, well, and that is just, will they be going over the rail trail to access the site? It looks like they do, if I'm not
They
mistaken.
do not.
Oh, okay, oh,
Nope.
they do not, all right.
It's raised there.
Okay, great, thank you.
Yep.
To answer your question, the rail trail is about 360 feet to the
Right,
track.
now, I was more
Yeah.
concerned about the vehicles going over the rail trail, because I've been through there on the rail trail. Okay. I move that the planning board determine that it will conduct an uncoordinated environmental review of the proposed project as an unlisted action.
Second.
Moved and seconded, called the question, all in favor?
Aye.
7-0.
I move that the planning board defer action on this application and direct the applicant to respond in writing to the comments of the planning board and those received from town the departments and agencies, including but not limited to the following 1 through 7.
Second. Moved and seconded, called the question, all in favor?
Aye.
God bless.
Bless you.
Thank you, Ken.
Thank you. Have a wonderful holiday, everyone.
You too. Next up, Longhorn Steakhouse.
Hello, everyone. Still standing.
Thanks for your patience.
All right, let's see. It's sharing. All right, so my name is Valentina. I'm with Longhorn Steakhouse, and
have already seen the plans, so I'll try and make this short and sweet. Just a quick overview presentation of what we're proposing. This is a Longhorn Steakhouse that'll be converting a previous TGI Fridays in Poughkeepsie Plaza, right off of Route 9. The building footprint is staying the same. We are obviously doing an interior remodel for our concept, but also updating the elevations and doing some very minor updates to the site by changing some of the landscaping, removing the existing patio and replacing that with landscaping, and also adding, per the pre-development meeting that we had a couple weeks ago, a concrete pad for the fire department to better access the FDC. So with that, I took some pictures fresh this morning. This is the south elevation of the existing building and what we're proposing. Like I said, it's pretty minimal in terms of, I guess, change, just a bit of a facelift and alignment with our concept. We're keeping the brick, it's just getting painted per our brand colors. Obviously changing the windows and the awnings, but this is, pretty much just a quick visual of what is being proposed on the south side. This is the west side facing Route 9. And then we have the north elevation and the east elevation with the dumpster enclosure, where we're also changing or redoing the dumpster pad apron, just because per our geotech it's in pretty bad shape, so we just need to reinforce it and redo it. So yeah, I mean, like I said, we reviewed the comments. Most of those were pretty minor in scope. Our civil and architect they're working on it, so there's nothing that we can't really accommodate. All of the, additional modifications or notes will be added or removed as needed. So yeah, I'm just kind of here if you guys have any additional questions or concerns, or if there's any of the comments that were issued that you would like to go a little in depth on. I'm here to answer any questions you guys might have.
What took you so long?
I ran as fast as I could. It's not that quick from Brooklyn.
Thank you. Eric?
Sure. Let's see, this is on for an amended site plan and architectural review. There's not too many changes on the site plan. We had just a few comments, I guess, for board discussion. There was a lot of landscaping on this plan previously. There's still going to be a fair amount, but you may or may want to, the planning board might consider whether you want any more on the Route 9 side, where the previous building was built into the buffer a little bit. I think that was pretty much it. The architecture. It looks pretty good. Discuss that. Do consider just FYI, the signage, which is a fairly prominent feature in the appearance of the building, is shown on two sides of the building. They're in front of the zoning board for variance on one. That's up to the zoning board, but just be aware that's a part of your architectural review.
Thank you. Andy?
Yeah, we really don't have any significant comments on this one.
All right, I move that the planning board open the public hearing.
Second.
Moved and seconded, call the question, all in favor?
Aye.
7-0. Is there anyone in the room or online that would like to speak on this application?
Would you mind stopping the share?
Oh, yes,
screen for a
of
minute?
course.
All right. Looks like we're getting down to just a few people online, so I think we're all set.
Okay. Seeing none, I move the planning board. Well, what are we doing there?
Discussing the application and
then making a decision about it.
making a decision on the application.
No, but do you want to close the public hearing?
If the planning board believes it's going to get to a decision tonight, which is our recommendation, then you can close the public hearing.
Okay. I move
Second.
Moved and seconded, called the question, all in favor?
Aye.
Let's go around the room, Robert,
Nothing for me, thank you.
Peter,
Welcome.
Thank you. Excited to be here.
Rocco.
Yeah, just a real quick one. Can you put up the elevations again? I guess I want to make sure that I understand. On the east elevation,
Yes.
it appeared that the TGIF had some faux windows there perhaps, and you've taken them out. Does that meet our criteria as far as needing windows on all sides? Or at least not having a wall without some type of window or full window on it?
I'm not sure that there is a code criterion in some cases. Well, first of all, is that the case? Are you taking out some faux windows?
I don't know, it looks like there's something on top.
It might just be like an awning that they place. I don't think there's even
Plus
faux
there's, you know,
windows in there.
There's a requirement, Rocco, there's a requirement if a wall exceeds a certain length.
Right.
Okay.
You have to
All
have
right,
a window.
I mean,
I don't think that doesn't appear to.
Yeah, I don't think it's applicable.
Right, I couldn't tell if that was an awning frame or if it was some faux windows there. Okay, I like the project, so welcome, as Peter said, welcome.
Thank you.
Chair,
Happy that you're coming.
Steve,
No comment.
Michael,
Добрый вечер, Yoshim Tiapa.
Same.
Sorry, just saying welcome and good evening. Or, that's not what I said. Close enough. You're removing the patio that is
Yes.
around the,
Yes. And replacing all that with landscaping.
okay. Welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, I move that the plan and board determine that the proposal meets the criteria of a seeker type 2 action in part 617.5, C9, requiring no further environmental review.
Second.
moved and seconded, called the question, all in favor?
Aye.
7-0.
Okay, I move that the plan and board grant a conditional amended site plan approval for the Longhorn Steakhouse application, subject to the following. Respond to comments of the plan and board and those received from town departments and agencies, and said response to be reviewed by the plan and the department as to adequacy and the completeness, inclusive of, but not limited to the following, 1 through 6.
Second.
Moved and seconded, called the question, all in favor?
Aye.
7-0. Okay, architectural review. We can put those back up. Do you have anything like with you as far as the actual paint colors are concerned?
I do. Let me quickly pull that up. Computers.
And you'll need to share your screen again when you.
Yeah, that's what I was
Just making sure.
getting to it. My mouse was going very slow. Let's see. Yeah, so the color elevations that were previously provided have the information on the paint colors and the materials that are going to be used. But most of the facade we're retaining the existing brick, we're just painting it. There's going to be some faux stone siding on the columns, some AFIS on the tower, and I believe we're also going to be just painting the roof to match our concept.
Does anyone have any questions?
Yeah, I got a comment. There, can you put up the elevation of the front of the building?
Just 1 second.
Okay, so now if I'm not mistaken, on the TGIF building, there were no columns where the entrance is proposed.
There weren't. They have this, and I believe honestly, it looks like plywood.
So
Oh, no,
you
it's-
have to build those columns?
Yes, we're gonna have to build those out.
Okay, and that, can you raise it again? Because it looks like you have to change
Sorry.
the configuration of the roof there as well. Are you going to take away that roof line?
I'm trying to remember what it, because I think a lot of it is not actually structural. Oh, this one, no, yeah. Yeah, so we're gonna probably flatten that.
So that'll be a flat roof, there's no way to make it, okay, no way, okay, will that match the rest of the building, I guess?
I mean, sorry. Computer's tired. The columns are gonna go past the parapet there, so that kind of also creates a little bit of a differentiation to avoid having just a fully flat roof on the tower.
So when, if you do the north elevation, what will that look like? I believe it's the north elevation.
Just so you know, what you're looking at, I believe the main entrance is the south elevation.
Yeah, I'm just,
So if you wanted to the left side.
Oh,
that would be
okay, it's
west
south,
elevation.
I'm sorry, thank you.
So the next view to the left would be west.
the west one, yeah, so here's a better view of it.
So that's the view from Route 9. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's still gonna be a lot of differentiation on the,
Okay,
On the roof line.
so there'll be columns on both the
correct,
front and back?
correct,
Okay.
yes.
And then also to the right on the west? Okay.
The north elevation?
No, the west elevation looked like that there were columns also.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear it,
The west elevation looks like there's columns also.
yeah, there's gonna be columns, both on the.
So on four corners, there's gonna be
Correct,
columns?
yes.
And they have to
Three.
be constructed?
3.
On three,
Yeah.
okay. All right, and you'll see what all the materials are and stuff. Okay.
What about exhaust or rooftop or mechanicals? Was there anything in the plan said about that?
I can just confirm that they're not gonna be visible. I think the lowest parapet is already almost a foot higher than our highest RTU.
All right.
So they're gonna be well hidden.
So we'll just need to see that in the
Yeah.
final plan set.
Absolutely.
Great, yep.
Michael, you had a question?
It was related to the flat roof, so
Oh,
Rock
okay.
already covered it.
Did anyone else have any questions?
Yeah, looks good.
Okay. All right, I move that we accept architecture as provided.
Second.
Moved to second, called the question, all in favor?
Aye.
7-0. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, I appreciate it.
Safe trip back to Brooklyn.
That's fine.
Take the train.
Short.
Next up, Central Hudson, SK.
We gotta open the floor for any comments, right? Yeah, so any public comment on anything remaining on the agenda? Not from those guys, anyone in the audience on Zoom, I should say. All right, no, so,
All right, so I move that we close the public comment.
Second.
Moved to second, called the question, all in favor?
Aye.
7-0, okay. Central Hudson, SK transmission line replacement, seeker review, site plan review, and aquatic resource permit review.
Good evening. My name's Anthony Mirando. I'm an attorney with Cuddy and Fader. I'm here with Central Hudson Gas and Electric tonight. I'm joined to my right with Kristen Baker from EDR, our engineer, and Jacob Winterman from Central Hudson. He's our project manager. You connected?
Yes.
Much smoother than I would have been, I can tell you that.
How's that?
that's good, yeah.
Very good.
We're here tonight to present to you a site plan application for the rebuild of the SK transmission line, which runs through the town of Poughkeepsie. It's approximately 2.5 miles. For those board members and staff members who have been here for a long time, you may be familiar with the KM line, which we came before you a few years back. It's very similar to that in terms of its purpose and its execution. So we can show you a little bit more details in our presentation slide, but just for context, it's very similar to that. The project is fairly straightforward in the sense that it is a replacement of the poles in an existing transmission line right-of-way. The poles are not in the exact same location, but fairly close. The pole locations are determined based on current standards, as are the other dimensions and locations of the poles, to meet current, national and state electric standards, among other criteria that public utilities like Central Hudson have to meet. The project is to replace a line that's been there for more than 60 years. So as you can imagine, and as Jacob will show you, the poles are degrading and past their useful life at this point. So a lot of this has to do with storm hardening and the avoidance of danger trees and strength and other features that will make it a more robust and redundant line for the community. I'm going to hand it off to Jacob at this point just to show you generally the location of the line. It effectively starts at the Spack and Kill substation and runs south down to an area north of the Knapp's Corner substation, just near the Victor Lane.
Jacob, nice to meet everyone.
Yeah, if you could speak right into the microphone.
Oh, yeah, sorry about that.
Thank you.
All right, so I have here an overall map of the line itself. So you'll see, you can see my cursor up here at the top. This is the Spack and Kill substation off 113. It runs south through some neighborhoods, crosses over Holly Lane, not labeled here, and Timberline Lane. It then passes through the Casper Hill property away from the golf course. They have a significantly sized property there with no development in it. Down, and the project stops just before the Knapp's Corner substation. It's about 2.4 miles, and I will pass it along to Kristen to speak to some of the environmental and permitting features of the line.
Not sure which mic I can use.
You want this one? This might be good.
Sure. Okay, hello everyone, my name is Kristen Baker. I'm a project manager at EDR. We serve as the environmental and permitting consultant as well as the engineer on this project and many for Central Hudson in the past. For the board, I just wanted to give you a summary of the environmental resources in the area, as you probably saw in our application materials. For rare, threatened, and endangered species, we consulted on both the federal and state level. The federal IPAC system did come back with the bat species, but then we did get our information from the DEC Natural Heritage Program, and they said there were no species in the area. So no adverse impacts on any protected species due to this project from that consultation. In terms of wetlands, EDR crews did go out in the fall last year and perform delineations in the right-of-way, and there were 6 wetlands delineated in the area and 4 perennial streams. There's 2 poles, 3 poles located in wetlands, and they will remain in the wetlands through the project. So there's no change in the impacts to those resources there. The rest of the delineated resources will be protected through matting or full avoidance as shown on the plan and profiles. And then lastly, I just wanted to let the board know that 3 hours after we submitted our application, the SHPO, the State Historic Preservation Office, came back with a letter of no adverse impact for the project for cultural and archaeological resources. So we will submit that to the board with our supplemental materials. I think that's it, and I'll hand it back to you, Jacob, to just go over the history of the line.
Appreciate it. All right, so on our next slide here, we have a little bit of the history and the existing conditions of the SK line. Currently, it's a wood pole construction, over 60 years old. After some field inspections, we found some long-term degradation of both the poles and the wire. The overall infrastructure has reached the end of its useful life, and the design currently doesn't meet standards, our electrical standards. We're obligated to maintain that infrastructure, and we are going to be replacing this line in the same manner as the KM line that you guys have seen previously. I guess that project went so smooth that we're going to try to repeat the process. Moving Moving on to some of the benefits here, replacing this line will maintain reliability, increase storm hardening, which will be beneficial to outages to our customers, and the new design will meet all current standards. The self-weathering poles, as you guys have seen before on the KM line, are robust and blend into the background, and the line will stay in the same right of way, as well as the voltage will stay the same as it is currently. Moving on here, I think we have some nice pictures for you. So these are taken during our, routine inspections of our lines. This is actually a pole that's relatively close to Spackenkill Road. You can see a lot of the hardware is aging, as well as the top of the pole and woodpecker holes that we've been trying to keep up with.
Looks like a tree.
It does look like a tree, yes.
Unfortunately, the woodpeckers feel the same way.
That's exactly right. So we try to stay on top of it, but at this point, it's gotten pretty far. And then this is a representation of a pole that is currently on the SK line. So you see the wooden pole on the left side. This right side is taken from another line. I'm not exactly sure what the name of it is, but is the exact design of what the SK line will look like. It looks fairly similar to the KM line that you see running through Poughkeepsie as well. So, and then our last slide here, we have just a plan schedule, something preliminary we put together. So the pre-application meeting we had back in March. We submitted our application in April of this year. We're anticipating field work to start in September/October of 2026 with an in-service date of December of 2026. We run at about a mile a month, so that being 2-mile line is about that amount of time. And then final restoration in the spring of 2027.
Thank you. Kristen?
Yeah, great, thank you. It is on, so for seeker purposes, it is on for an unlisted action, subject to a coordinated review, site plan review, and aquatic resources permit review. The nature of the seeker environmental part is we're just being tremendously conservative in our environmental review approach. It does cover a lot of areas, so it just seemed like the prudent approach didn't necessarily fit neatly into a type 2 box, even though it is largely a replacement in kind. So I think you hit on it pretty well. Just to reiterate, it's 34 pole locations that are existing, 2 additional pole locations. One of my comments that stood out just because of the nature of the Knapp's Corner substation review, pause. There was a new pole proposed, so it's SK number 3 is cited in the utility corridor, which fair enough, but it is adjacent to parcels that I think historically they were actively engaged in that public hearing process. So I had asked if, there's any ability to consider screening if, someone came forward. I know that Central Hudson has been really good about it in the past to work with their neighbors, and the screening. So I just put that in my review. Just looking for confirmation. I don't think there are any changes to signage, lighting, landscaping necessarily, but maybe with something in regards to some of the restoration work. I'm not sure, but just wanted to throw it in there and ask the question. If there's an ability to document that, great. Believe it or not, we actually did conduct an architectural review on these through the KM line review process. So yes, it's subject to architectural review by this board. So at this time, staff is recommending that the planning board declare its intent to serve as lead agency. We'll circulate the intent and then defer action with comments. And just for the project record, wanted to note that we did circulate to county planning. They came back with their letter response, matter of local concern. So if when the board's ready to move forward, there's nothing to address it from their department. And then we also did ask Carol to take a look at this application because preliminarily during our pre-application meeting, we had flagged an aquatic resource permit review as being part of this application process. And I won't steal Carol's thunder. She's much more educated on that stuff than I am. But Carol is here also to discuss her review memo.
Okay. Let's go to you, Carol.
Okay. The applicant provided a very, very detailed aquatic resource report and covered all the bases. Indicated that Army Corps and NISDEC jurisdiction is likely. Couple of comments. Oh, by the way, the town aquatic resource permit, it doesn't rise to the level of disturbance within the town aquatic resources that the town is requiring a permit. Basically, there's only one wetland in the area that is the size, and there's no disturbance proposed for that wetland. So it's authorized under Army Corps Nationwide Permit 57 and without notification. So basically they've covered their bases with that. And as far as the DEC, I think the applicant had indicated that they were going to go a general permit.
Yep, that's correct.
Is that correct?
That's correct, yep.
Okay. You may not need that. You know, right now, it appears that the wetlands, you could submit a JD reissuance form because of that positive JD that you received. Did you receive a positive JD?
We submitted it in early April, just before the whole kerfuffle happened with the DEC.
Kerfuffle, that's very nice.
Yes, so we never got a response from them yet on that. So I don't know if they'll issue something to us, but.
It appears that you won't need one, but we can, give me a call and we'll talk about that. But yeah, just give me a call. You probably don't need that, but if you do, the JD, the general permit will cover it. I think there are probably going to be a couple of complaints just from the routine clearing, because when you routine clear, people just all of a sudden have a view that they may not have appreciated before, but that just happens. But the long range vegetation removal, you said a half an acre of trees perhaps to be removed?
Yeah, and those are spread out across the line. It rises up to the 0.48 acres, which is a fraction of the 35 acres that the entire right-of-way is. So it's individual locations. It's not a large swath of trees.
Okay.
And correct me if I'm
So
wrong, it's actually.
just to avoid, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, it's also not, a slew of trees per se. There's a lot of brush and other things that they included in that, as part of what they have to do for that.
Right. And that's what, when people see that come down, all of a sudden they have a view, they might get ruffle some feathers, but you're obviously doing this in the winter, or in the months after the bat hibernation, so you really don't have to worry about that, but you could include a note on the plan. And Central Hudson has done a great job with the matting to protect the wetlands in the past. I've seen that and expect that'll happen again. When you go to reseed anything, if you can throw down some Asclepias, which is milkweed, we just kind of require that or recommend that for any restoration for the monarch butterfly, proposed threatened species. But everything looks good.
Okay, great, thanks.
Just one more thing. Carol, you had pointed out earlier this week during the field trip meeting, I don't know if there was any follow-up, but Carol had been involved enough to know that there was potentially a open permit related to the Spack and Kill Road substation through the building department maybe. So I just wanted to flag that, like we can always help. I can ask around as well, but I can help facilitate anything there as well.
There was a question a couple of years back about some of the vegetation that didn't grow properly for the screening for the Spack and Kill substation. And we had looked into it a while back, but I don't think anything ever materialized. But this might be the ideal time to just close that out. So again, we'll talk about this offline.
Thank you. Andy?
So the project does require a stormwater pollution prevention plan to be coverage under the state species permit. They're not proposing any impervious surfaces, so it's purely erosion sediment controls. So we did receive that, reviewed it. It looks like it's in pretty good shape. So we have some minor comments on erosion sediment controls, but for the most part, you did a great job of copying and pasting from the last job. Nice job. So most of our comments have
Lessons
been
learned,
addressed.
Yeah, thank you for the thorough project description. It was really helpful in prepping my memo. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I did edit it a little bit, just so you know.
But, yeah, no, this is in very good shape as far as we're concerned.
Okay, thank you. Michael? Any
Thanks for,
comments?
yeah, thanks for sitting through all those and maintaining your level of energy. Right? See, more than one of us can make puns. No comment other than that.
No comment.
Okay,
No comment.
Improvements are always welcome.
okay. Peter? No? Robert?
No.
And me, no comment as well.
Okay. I move that the planning board declare its intent to serve as the lead agency to coordinate the environmental review of the proposed project as an unlisted action and authorize the planning department's circulation of a notice of said intent, a copy of the EAF, a copy of the application to the identified interested and involved agencies.
Second.
Moved and seconded, called to question, all those in favor?
Aye.
7-0.
Okay, I move that the planning board defer further action on this application and to direct the applicant to respond to comments in writing of the planning board and those received from town departments and agencies, including but not limited to the following 1 through 13.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded, called to question, all in favor?
Aye.
7-0. Thank you so much.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
We were trying to submit a response letter on Tuesday, which I think is the deadline for June, but we're not pushing. I'm just asking if we do get it in May, is that something, May 26th? Is that something where we'd be on?
We should be
June again?
doing lead agency tomorrow. I haven't done the math.
Okay.
Is it, I don't know if we hit 30 days. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so just, may not be.
All right, so I won't work on Memorial Day, fine. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next up is Town Code Amendment, Affordable and Workforce Housing.
Okay, thank you. Let's see, earlier this month, the town board approved a resolution, which referred a new proposed local law to the planning board for a recommendation. The proposed local law would add a new chapter 52 to the town code entitled Affordable and Workforce Housing, and it would amend sections of chapter 210, which is zoning, to include related provisions for affordable and workforce housing. The town board will be holding a public hearing on the local law, June 3rd, in a couple of weeks. Let's see, this local law was prepared by the Code Update Committee. It's basically an example of an inclusionary zoning local law. It includes requirements for 10% of units in a rental housing project above 10 units to be affordable or workforce housing as described in the law. It takes advantage of working with a third party such as Hudson River Housing, or RUPCO, or some other third party not-for-profit to help administer the program on behalf of the town. The town would select that administrator if the law is adopted. What else can I tell you? It does include incentives for the development community to basically hopefully offset the cost related to providing such units. So you get a bonus unit of 1-to-1. So for each unit of affordable and workforce housing provided, you get a bonus unit of market rate housing. There's also provisions in there for additional building height, reduced off-street parking, reduced fees, and so forth. So there's a number of things in there that are also meant to make, the things pencil out on behalf of the development community. We did work closely with local developers in drafting the law with the intent of, having something that the town board can adopt that, wouldn't have the unintended consequence of stifling development, because that's not what so that's basically it. The board can make a positive, neutral, or negative recommendation back to the town board regarding adoption of the local law.
How does everyone feel? Positive, neutral?
Can I ask Mike a quick
Sure.
question?
You can,
In units 10 through 20, you get 10%, you get the fractions, and then that's part of it. But the other part is, if you have 10 and you get 1, is it affordable that takes the precedence or workforce? I tried to gather that in here, but
Okay.
it
There-
was unclear to me.
all right, there is language in there about how we deal with
Yeah, I
fractions,
saw
so
that,
that's
but it
all
was
set.
unclear to me.
And then, it would be affordable, if it's only one unit, you would get, it would be an affordable unit. And
Okay.
then-
So then, once you get into a fraction, like 15 units, and that's 1.5.
Yeah,
you
that's
round
that's
up.
all spelled out in, yes, at what point you would, yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. How does everyone feel? Positive, neutral?
It's a hard thing to ask after 3 hours of sitting in your chair.
I'd say positive.
You would
Yeah,
say
so would
positive? Okay, 2 for positive. Sharon?
Sure, why not?
Positive. Michael?
I do have questions about this, though. I did read this, and it's hard to parse some of what they're trying to do here. Maybe you can answer. Are the minimum unit sizes still in effect, and the only bonus they get is an additional floor? So, in other words,
We don't actually have a minimum unit size in our law, other than what building code requires.
right, but there's the building code minimum.
Right,
So that's not being touched by
that's not
this.
being touched.
And the only thing that we're allowed, they get a bonus floor to whatever is allowed under this
Yes.
law. So really, in most instances, you're only looking at 2 or 3 additional units. That would be,
Well, it depends on the number of units that they're,
right, there's not something like I can build 50 affordable units, or 50 units and 50 affordable units, right? That's not, on a small lot, it's not gonna happen. It's something that,
well, right, you still have density requirements that
All those requirements are still in
will
place.
limit that number of market rate units that we can build, and therefore limit the number of total that you can come.
so that was really my only concern. Other than that, it's positive.
Yeah, I've got another follow-up. Based on the fact that, okay, I built 10 units, I get an extra floor. Now, can I have, I can fill that floor with the minimum market rate units?
Yeah, you may not get an extra floor, you may still not have enough density to make building an extra floor the preferred, you may end up building the building a little bit larger, like wider, instead of building an extra floor. Remember, there's a certain, depending on the situation.
Yeah, okay.
You
That's
know, it's
why
gonna
I-
vary quite a lot based on the
Right,
the site.
okay,
right?
He's bad.
then who determines that? Because, like I said, I read it and,
I think it's gonna be
So-
on a case-by-case
Yeah, it's
basis.
gonna be the applicants,
Right.
propose something, and yeah, Lisa, did
So
you
you
wanna?
get an extra, if you get an extra building unit, if you're required to build one affordable, you get one additional market rate unit. The additional floor or height is actually, it doesn't give you any more density, it just gives you the ability to have a taller building, if that makes more sense.
Right, so-
And if you can meet the requirements.
Right, so if
And
in the
it's
zoning
the
district, you
board
can only
that-
have 3 floors, you might be, and on the particular site, you need to go vertical in order to meet those units, then you would have the ability to get a 4th floor, which you couldn't get without a variance currently.
But it's the planning board that will have the decision-making power over that, and it's very, it says the planning board may grant an extra floor, so there's no requirement that anybody gets it, but if you find that the applicant makes a compelling reason for why the extra floor or the extra height is worthwhile, and they meet their other goals and so on, then you can grant that. And if they don't meet their density requirements, then they would need to go to the ZBA for that, so. It's not like you would have a 50-story skyscraper.
I mean, the concept
So,
is good, but
Again,
it's.
are we moving for positive or neutral?
You got my email?
We saw your note, Pete.
Yeah.
Voting.
He's
You're not
recusing,
voting?
he's recusing.
Okay. Positive? positive, Rocco?
Yeah, positive.
Okay.
Just, Mike, did you guys do any estimates on how many affordable or workforce units we might get out of this? I mean, it's a good idea, that's why.
Well, it's gonna depend largely on two things. I mean, it's gonna be based on continued demand for housing in the community, right? So,
Right.
So it's gonna be based on how many market rate units we're getting.
Right, but you guys usually estimate.
We didn't, no, we didn't,
You did?
no.
Okay.
All right, I move the planning board convey a positive recommendation to the town board regarding adoption of the proposed local law to add a new chapter 52 to town code entitled Affordable and Workforce Housing and to amend chapter 210 entitled Zoning to include related provisions for affordable and workforce housing.
Second.
Moved and seconded, called the question, all in favor?
Aye.
7-0.
And we're six, right, six.
I'm sorry, 6-1, I'm sorry.
6-0.
6-0, I'm sorry, you're recusing.
601.
Okay, so lead agency notification, town police and court facility.
Yeah, so this is, the town board has declared its intent to serve as lead agency under seeker for the environmental review of a new town police and court facility at this location at 1 Over Rockland Road. And so the planning board can consent or not, or take no position on that.
Okay, what is the board's consensus for this?
Sure.
Consent? Yes, everyone consent?
No, non-content.
No?
No.
No? Michael?
Remember that the alternative is, what you're saying is not, you're not saying you like or dislike the proposal. You're saying that you think the town board should be doing the environmental review of this, yes? Or should somebody else, like the planning board, be doing the environmental review of this?
Wouldn't this normally come to us as the
Not
planning board?
necessarily, no.
Not necessarily.
Why not?
Because the town can build its own facilities without having to come to basically, to.
That's the law.
That's the
The answer
law.
is it's
That's what
town
they're
law.
doing.
Interesting.
Okay, if that's the law, then don't even ask me. And why are you coming to
Well,
ask?
no, because there's still,
No, but why, if that's the law, then why am I being asked?
It's because, believe it or not, it's part of the procedure. So even though they have the authority to do it, they still have to ask us if we have the permission.
Okay, so I
So
take,
it's wasted
I take
step.
no position.
you could take no position, right?
I take no position.
All right.
But otherwise, we all consent?
Yeah, so
Okay.
it's by majority vote, right?
Okay, so I move the planning board consents to the town board serving as lead agency under seeker for the environmental review of the proposed town police and court facility at 1 Over Rocker Road.
Second.
Moved and seconded, called the question, all in favor?
Aye.
And 1 no?
No.
2 noes? Okay,
So 5-2.
5 to 2.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, and then we have some time extensions. 231 North Road parking. I move that the planning board grant 1 90-day time extension for the 231 North Road parking application, moving the current approval expiration date from June 17, 2026 to September 15, 2026.
Second.
Moved and seconded, called the question, all in favor?
Aye.
7-0. 900 Dutchess Turnpike AP Packaging. I move the planning board grant 4 90-day time extensions for amended site plan approval for June 17, 2026, forward to June 12, 2027.
Second.
Moved and seconded, called the question, all in favor?
Aye.
7-0. 1837 to 1839 South Road. I move the planning board grant 2 90-day time extensions for 1837 through 1839 South Road application, moving the current approval expiration date from June 17, 2026 to December 14, 2026.
Second.
Moved and seconded, called the question, all in favor?
Aye.
Eastdale Village time extension. I move the planning board for the Eastdale Village project grant a waiver of the special use permit requirement of 1J, that construction is to be started within 1 year of planning board approval for special use permit for multi-family dwellings and mixed residential and non-residential uses within multi-story structures, and extend the latest start date for construction of such SUP uses in the project to July 31, 2027.
Second.
Moved and seconded, called the question, all in favor?
Aye.
7-0. I move that the planning board for the Eastdale Village project grant a waiver of the site plan requirement to 210-151J. So the site plan approval shall be void if construction is not started within 1 year of the date of planning board approval and completed within 2 years of the date of such approval, and that the planning board extend the latest start date for construction to July 31, 2027, and the completion date to July 31, 2028.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor? Aye. 7-0. Salt Point Center, I move that the planning board grant 2 90-day time extensions for conditional special use permit, site plan, and aquatic resource permit approvals from June 17, 2026 forward to December 14, 2026.
Second.
Moved and seconded, called the question, all in favor? Aye. Shops at Campus Center, Marist Drive, I move that the planning board grant 2 90-day time extensions for the shops at Campus Center 11 through 17 Marist Drive application, moving the current approval expiration date from May 16, 2026 to November 11th, 2026.
Second.
Moved and seconded, called the question, all in favor?
Aye. Is it tomorrow?
Does anyone have any further business to discuss?
Nope.
In that case,
He said yes.
oh,
No,
yes?
I said no.
Oh, okay. In that case,
Sorry.
I vote that we terminate tonight's meeting.
Second.
Moved and seconded, call the question, all in favor?
Aye.
7-0, thank you.
Thank you.
Good night,
Very
everyone.
good.
Good night, everybody.
Speed reading. Who did that? Evelyn?
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Hi, Carol.
He jumped out of this chair.